What's happening, folks? Welcome to Ichabod. I'm your host, Be Good, and you're catching exit strategy. And I got a great guest. I had to get a little spiffy, even had to whip out an old button up so I can get spiffy for our guest tonight. But come on into the chat and do the thing. Greet somebody in reason's name. I'm glad to be back with you guys. I had a nice little vacation and got nice and well rested. I took a vacation from my vacation lifestyle. Uh, but no, it's about to be on tonight. So yeah, come on into the chat, say what's up. We got a old and dear friend joining us tonight to talk about a very, very pressing issue. What's up, Mo Wheat? Good to see you. And yeah, I've sort of been looking forward to this, but I also have sort of not, because this topic, it's so dystopian what we're living through right now, and the fact that we're going to be talking about this tonight is it's almost like I can't believe we're doing this kind of a show, and I hope that we're overselling the hysteria, and I hope that we're really wrong. But what's interesting is almost exactly a year ago, myself, Albert Kim, and Jay Witt, we did an episode of Exit Strategy, I believe it was, where we talked about Christian nationalism. We talked about the inroads that it's making. And Jay Witt was so like, nah. We've had these, they always, around election time, they always come with these, scare tactics of what's going to happen if you don't vote for this party or this person. He wasn't buying it. Let's just say things have changed. All right. So, yeah, Joshua Broad said, I'm scared. Yeah. One of the things I miss about being a Christian was I didn't really get scared by much, because as wrong as I was in believing the Bible, I at least thought I had help in heaven. And so it was really hard to scare me, come what may. I always felt like God's got my back, or at least I chose the right side. I chose the winning side, or, remember the movie, why am I blanking on the name of this movie? Al Pacino and man, I'm blanking on everybody's name. Devil's Advocate is the name of the movie. And Keanu Reeves' character is saying to the Satan character, yeah, but look at the revelation. Look at the end. You lose. The Satan character was trying to convince Keanu Reeves' character to join him. Keanu Reeves' character says, but look at the end. Look at Revelation. In the end, you lose. And then the Satan character played by Al Pacino says, but consider the source. Of course, God would say I would lose in the end. That's his book. I don't know. I went into that only because when I was a Christian, I had a book that told me in the end, the other side loses and the Christian side would win. Now I don't think there's any truth to the book, to any of the books within the book. And so I've got no confidence on which side is going to win or lose. I just know the side that the Christian, especially the Christian that we're going to take a look at today, the side that Christian is playing on, if that side wins, we all lose. Even the people on that side, they lose if their side wins, which is so, I don't know. It's so frustrating to try to help people see what's in their own best interest and what's not, but also not being the type to have the paternalistic mindset. Like the evangelical would say, I know what's in your best interest and I'm going to do it for you, as opposed to I'm going to just live and let live. See, people like me might feel like, hey, this is not in your best interest. Who was it? Joshua Broad said, I'm scared about what's coming. And he says, and I'm a white man. Like, yeah, like no matter who you are, you should be scared. But I'm not going to be paternalistic about it and try to come to you and tell you, oh, because you don't know what's best for you, I'm going to cast your vote for you. I'm going to gerrymander your neighborhood so that, because you don't even know how to vote in your own best interest, I'll do that for you. Like, nobody on this side is going to do that. It's the other side who's telling people, not only do I know what's best for you, not only do you not know what's in your own best interest, but I'm going to rig it so that I'm now making the decisions for you. That's the troubling thing about what's going on. So with no further ado, hey, what's up? My unique Monique, good to see you. She says, good evening, everyone. Welcome in reason's name, indeed. Chuckton said, I live in the middle of white Christian nationalists and they scare the hell out of me. Wow. Hey, Eddie said, that's how I felt. Yeah. Hey, look, this could be a safe space. This might be one of the last safe spaces. We don't need to commiserate because it's not too far gone just yet, but we can vent. We can help each other. You know, you're not crazy for feeling like, yo, this thing is so far gone. But with no further ado, I'm going to bring our guests on. Please welcome back to Ichabod, Albert Kim.
What's going on, Ray?
Yeah, what's going on, man?
It's been a minute, man.
Yes. Good to see you. How you been, man? Tell us what's up with you. How you been, health-wise, everything? What's good?
Yeah, well, it's been challenging. I'm going to say it hasn't been necessarily the easiest journey still, but for those of you who are newer to Ichabod, you know, big shout out not only to Brady but to Jay Witt. And you know, I think we were a year into this, and then I got diagnosed with cancer, and then you know that was a trip. But you know, with my family and my close friends and Brady and Jay Witt, you guys were there for me. So that was, you know, meant a lot. The fact that I was still coming on as guests or co-hosting, you know, stuff like that. You know, I thought that really helped me get through that. So
wow.
Never going to forget that. So, but long story short, yeah, it's been, you know, I think I want to say here's the thing. It's like, you know, I really like what you've done, Brady, with this and the kind of community that you've coalesced together. It's definitely morphed, and I think into something that's pretty meaningful to a lot of people out there. And I don't check in as much as I hope I would, because you know I've been busy and all that stuff. But I really like the conversations that you've had with you know a multitude of people. So, you know, I think for me this deconstruction has been really great. And I think it wasn't until early this year that, you know, I didn't really make that deconstruction a part of my personal life in terms of how who I share it with. And that's become more important to me, I think, right now.
So about a month or two ago, you posted on your Facebook page about your deconversion.
Yeah.
For the first time, really.
Yeah, it was actually back in February, I think, or January, February.
Man, this year is
time
flying.
flat. Yeah. And it came on the heels of the inauguration.
So talk about that. What about that made you decide you needed to publicly talk about where you are faith-wise?
So this ties all into everything you've just mentioned about having that conversation with Jay Witt and talking about Christian nationalism, you know, Project 2025. And you and I were convinced that it was going to be a thing if the election went, you know, to Trump's way. So for me, when that happened, I was like, oh my gosh, I need to take more of a personal persona, like get me out there.
Yes.
And whether that's with my local people, you know, community, or people that I know personally know, as well as the broader, you know, internet, as well as whoever I encountered, I felt that it was warranted. So that's why I did it. So
what kind of a response did you get from people in your personal life seeing?
I got a lot of positive feedback, and it was really surprising to know that I would say there was about a dozen people from my old Christian world who shared similar experiences, or just the fact that they had to deconstruct. it was pretty wild.
Wow.
I didn't realize that the people that I had known, that people that I thought would still be, in the religion, they've had to find their way out, and
Wow. That
deal
had
with
to
that.
be
Yeah.
validating,
Oh
or
my
I mean,
gosh.
I'm sure
Yeah.
that was
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah.
good stuff.
And then unfortunately, there was a very small number of people who I think didn't know how to handle it, who are still,
Hmm.
in the religion.
Mm,
And those, I had to kind of block, a couple of people
wow.
because, yeah, it didn't go, yeah, that
Mm,
conversation didn't go well. So,
mm,
um, but overall, I think it was really positive. I think people are really connecting with whatever form of deconstruction we do, right? Whether that's
hmm.
like we're talking low level insights here or there versus like a huge framework to deconstruct, all of
Yeah.
the toxic furniture that we built over time. I think people relate a lot more people than you think relate to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Oh my gosh.
yeah,
I get it.
yeah,
I still get it daily on my Facebook
yeah.
DMs. The people who wish they could come out and say the things that I'm saying. A lot of people don't
Hmm.
realize when I make these posts, I'm speaking for people who can't speak for themselves. My wife would leave me. I
Yeah,
would lose my job. All
right,
kinds of, so they can't say the things that they want to say. But
right.
yeah. Let me say two things real quick. Daryl Williams said, I listen to a lot of the older Nurch content on Spotify.
Nice.
So, Daryl, guess what? There's you and there's a few other people. So, when I go to check the analytics about how many people are downloading the streams or the episodes that I put on Spotify or put on the other DSPs, there might be like somewhere between 20 to 40 people that download the episodes out of the rest of the people that watch it on YouTube.
Yeah,
And it costs, I'm not saying this to guilt anybody into giving, it costs a grip every
yeah.
month to keep those episodes up on Spotify. But I do it because I know there's a few people who do get it on Spotify. And
Nice.
so forgive me for not being as faithful with always putting the stuff up there. But at least once a month, I remember, oh yeah, I'm paying for this. And I go and I put like 5 or 6 episodes at a time up on Spotify or Apple Play or whatever
Yeah,
the podcast streaming service is.
yeah,
So that's what's up.
yeah.
One more thing, you mentioned Jay Witt when we did the episode before. Me and you
Hmm.
were convinced
Hmm.
Project 2025 was coming. Christian nationalism is going to be. They're going to make this push. Jay Witt was like, no, no, no.
Hmm.
Y'all are buying into the scare tactics. You and I both still talk to Jay Witt all the time.
Yeah.
He told, did you have a conversation with him recently about how his views may have changed?
Yeah, he's been very like no reticence at all to say like I was wrong. I was
Mm,
totally wrong. And you know what? I don't know what you felt back then. I mean, I was kind of shocked that he was in denial about it. Like were you?
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I didn't.
I know him to be a very rational person.
Right,
And maybe, because I think
right,
sometimes I do this, maybe I'm too skeptical for my own good,
right.
but I think he was being a little too rational for his
For
own
his
good
own.
because the signs were all the signs were all there. So yeah, I was definitely shocked.
Yeah, I didn't know how to even talk to him. I think I don't even know how to approach it with him actually. And
Mm,
we disagreed, in a very friendly manner. There's no, but I did my best to kind of give him my viewpoint, and he didn't seem to budge at the time. But
yeah.
um, yeah, but now
For
I
anybody
mean,
who's
yeah, go ahead. Yeah,
for anybody who's like wondering, yeah, see, Jay Witt has come back to Albert, he's come back to me. So I was wrong. I can't
yeah,
believe how wrong I was.
yeah,
That this Christian nationalist stuff. And
yeah,
what made him really say it was he saw all the other stuff, but when he saw Doug Wilson on CNN, it clicked for him like, oh shit, this is real. Now, I
hmm,
don't have a history with Doug Wilson, but you and Jay Witt kind of do. And so like, at least you knew of him. So before I play the video, tell me, why were you familiar with Doug Wilson and what did it mean for you to see him on CNN?
yeah. So let me try to summarize this as best I can without boring people about the details about the reform world. Jay Wood and I, we used to we talked a lot about theology and the Christian world and literature and doctrinal views and whatever, and ecclesiology, all that stuff. But it always puzzled me and Jay Witt about this whole post-millennial optimistic view of the end times, right? It just, to me, it was a total bizarre thing. And on top of that, because we were into Bonson at the time, we liked the whole
Bonson, the apologist.
Yeah, Bonson, and who was also a post-millennial reconstructionist and all that stuff. We're talking about like really niche intellectual side of the Christian world, right? I mean, it's like, this is not who.
Can you remember, if I asked you to break this down, can you remember, can you go back in your Christian Rolodex and help somebody who's watching understand what is post-millennial, all the stuff you just talked about, like, what is that? Because that's going to play into Doug Wilson's views.
So post-millennialism, to define it quickly, is the end times view that whenever the Bible talks about the end times, they interpret that as that the church, the kingdom of God, will be, being on earth, and as the gospel is spreading across the world, that there's going to be a Christianizing of the world, this optimistic view, and therefore that will, in a sense, usher in, the second coming of Jesus. So, I mean, that's the simplest way that I can put it.
Okay.
So when they read the Olivet Discourse, right, they interpret it slightly different than the partial preterist, amillennial person, right? They'll take certain parts and they'll project that into the future, and then they'll read that as an optimistic view. So it's nothing, none of this like pre-millennial, like oh, shit's gonna happen and
it's got to get worse before it gets better. That's the premillennial view.
Exactly.
The postmillennial view is it's going to get better, right, and then it's going to get ultra better, like Jesus is going to return.
Yeah.
But for them, getting better is it's going to get Christian.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. So, and then there was, on top of that, Doug Wilson also had a debate tour with Christopher Hitchens. I don't know if anybody here remembers that at all, right? Christopher Hitchens.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. I missed that completely.
Yeah. So, despite the fact that we disagreed with Wilson on some of these views, and we thought, whatever, but we actually kind of liked how he debated Christopher Hitchens at the time. We thought he was, offering, some good arguments and things like that. Mm-hmm. And to someone who at that time I also respected too. I really respected Christopher Hitchens at the time, even though I was a Christian. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah. You can't not be serious and not engage with his objections, right? They're okay. You have to deal with them. So there.
Now, wasn't Doug Wilson also a slavery apologist in some sense?
So that's the thing. We had no idea about his views on slavery until Jay Witt at a later time learned about it. He wrote a book called, I think it was called Slavery. Yeah, Southern Slavery as It Was. Yeah, it was published in 1996. And when Jay Witt, he didn't read it, but he I think he read a pretty extended synopsis of it, because he had he seemed to have a pretty kind of good high level grasp of the arguments. And he called me one day and he was like, I can't believe this. Like, it's just like, what the totally just shocked, right? And I was shocked too. I was like, oh my God, seriously, seriously?
How many Christians would be aghast if they found out what some of their evangelical leaders really thought about? Because I was reading up on Doug Wilson a little bit before we jumped on. He defined his political views as being slightly to the right of a Confederate general by the name of Jeb Stuart. So he could have named anyone. He picks a Confederate general and says, my politics are slightly to the right of Jeb.
Oh my goodness.
All right.
Can't believe it.
Let's belabor this, because you know how we do. People complain that we should stopping the videos on this channel and let them play for a while and then talk about them. I can't promise you that we're going to do that. If we hear something objectionable or something that makes us think, we're going to stop it and we're going to talk about it. This is a reaction video. This is not
Right.
the video. You want to see the video? It's on YouTube. It's called Extended CNN Interview with Doug Wilson. He's hardly ever going to, well, I can't say. I'm not beholden to the idea of we stop it too much. So we'll see what happens here. Any other last words before we dive into it?
All I'm going to say is I think what I like about how we do things, Brady, and just a quick thing. One of the things that I've always respected about you and about Jay Witt and how we do things here is that I don't think we are clutching our pearls, or if we ever do that, I don't think we're ever doing it intentionally. Like I think that what we're about to see, whatever form it might take, right? Because the thing is, like, at the end of the day, we can't predict the future. There's a lot of things that have to happen in order for them to get their agenda done. But at the same time, they're trying to do it. And we're not clutching pearls. Like, this is literally what's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great point.
So,
great point. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's go.
Yep.
Oh, gosh. And just so anybody knows, I watched this about halfway through and I couldn't do anymore. But for the sake of content, I'm going to watch the rest of it, but we'll see how it goes.
What makes this community here in Moscow so unique?
You can't make good omelets with rotten eggs. It doesn't matter how good the recipe is. It doesn't matter how good the kitchen is. It doesn't matter how good the cook is. If people aren't walking with God, then it's going to come out bad.
What would have happened if your kids didn't want to follow you?
So just that point alone, she asked him about the community that they've been building there in Moscow, Idaho. What makes this community so special, so good? You can't make an omelet with rotten eggs. So he's immediately assuming that because we've got people who are quote unquote walking with God here, this community is going to be better than almost any other. When the hell, or if you prefer, when the heaven has having a room full, let alone a city full of Christians made anything better? Like, is he like does he believe in sinless perfection? Does he think that Christians don't sin?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little, I think what we're going to see here and what you're stating is what's problematic about a lot of what Wilson says is that we really don't know what he means with some of this rhetoric. And I think what I hear is that I think there is a kind of intrinsic goodness that he's talking about. And I think that's devoid of any kind of like certain outcomes that we would perceive to be a good thing, right? And I think and that really speaks to not only his like presuppositionalism, but that also speaks to how he, like, the fundamental structures of society, of how he views things. So I think you're making a good point here. Yeah.
There doesn't seem to be any gray. Like, you see everything is black and white. If you're a Christian, then you're in the good category. And if you're not a Christian, you're in the bad category, despite all the good that people who are not Christians do, despite all the bad that people who do name the name of Christ do. If you're a Christian, you're good. So, okay.
Yeah.
I'll make sure I wasn't tripping on that.
Not tripping.
Right.
So this was something, again, that my dad learned from the Apostle Paul, but there were 4 of us growing up in my dad's household. And we all knew that if any one of us walked away from the faith, my dad would step down from ministry.
So you just living as a practicing Christian isn't enough?
When I heard that for the first time, I thought that's a lot of pressure to put on kids. Dad is in full-time ministry. That's his job. It's not just his hobby. It's his job. Yeah. And he and his siblings knew that if any of us, because she asked him, how would you feel if one of your kids walked away? You got this community here that you think is all good eggs and no rotten eggs. How would you feel if one of your kids walked away? He said, yo, I knew growing up that if me and my siblings deconverted, my dad would step down from ministry. That was his answer. So is that his way of saying my kids know how to hold the line because I had to hold the line too?
Yeah, probably. I think that's a little bit of I know that in certain ecclesia, like church structures and rules, right? I mean, they don't, in terms of eldership, like if they want to hold that.
If you're not ruling your household well, then you can't.
Exactly.
feel with the house of God.
Exactly. So here's the thing: the fact that his dad put it on his kids, you know what I mean? It's like that's not a responsibility. I don't think that's good ethics at all, right? To actually put that on the kids, like that's actually all on you. It doesn't say anything about all that. So, yeah.
Why is that his answer to the question of you've got this Christian community, you think you've got all the best people? What if your own kids were to deconvert? His answer is, I couldn't do it when I was a kid. That's a crazy answer to give.
That's a crazy answer. Yeah. Yeah, it really is. I mean, so I guess he's just trying to say, he's trying to, I don't know, raise the bar. He's trying to raise the bar with every single dimension or every aspect of things in order to prove, in order to demonstrate that they're good people, that they're upstanding. I mean, you know,
okay.
To me, it's like a facade, really. I think. I don't know, but
it almost makes you wonder, like, so is it that your kids, or maybe even you and your own siblings, Doug, when you were, is it that they can't deconvert publicly without costing you your ministry, or like what if they deconverted privately but just didn't say anything that would cost you your job?
Yeah,
would that be okay?
Yeah, exactly. So it can easily be that facade that is being kept up, you know, because you really can't express like what you really feel if that's the structure put on you. You know, it's fundamentally oppressive. You know, you know what's really weird. So I think the way you're thinking, like when I heard this, I'm glad we're doing this actually, because like when I heard this thing, I was doing my best to figure out like where is he coming from? Like you know, and we're going to see more examples of this as we move forward. Because I'm like, I'm trying to put my finger on certain things. But at the end of the day, I think there are some fundamental things that we can lay judgment on, you know, like in terms of like, how this whole thing works. So,
all right.
Yeah.
For you.
It's not enough, no.
What does that look like, though, in America ruled by Christ, which is what you want?
Yeah. Well, the most noticeable things right out of the gate would be things that aren't going on anymore. We wouldn't have Clown World. We wouldn't have Drag Queen Story Hours. We wouldn't have.
So I talked to Jay Wood about this the other day. Were you familiar with the term Clown World?
No.
In the chat, anybody, don't Google it yet, or maybe you can, but even before you do that, were you familiar with the term Clown World? When I heard him say that, I thought to myself, he's saying that as if people know what he means. Then I went and Googled it and was like, oh shit. Anybody in the chat, let us know. Did you know? Monique says never heard of it. Did anybody know what he meant when he said Clown World? It let me, when I heard it, I said, wait, why is he talking as if that's an understood terminology? Google it. All right. So basically, Clown World, it actually stems from neo-Nazi groups. The far right and neo-Nazis, they're the ones who developed this term. Basically, they're looking at the left. You hear Trump use the term, these far left lunatics, right? It's a far right way to pejoratively talk about the left, especially as it pertains to transgender issues. They'll say things like, you know, men wanting to be women and this, that, and they'll call it Clown World. Basically, it's a world that operates almost like we, talk about bizarro world. That's what they mean. But for him to be using that term, it's got neo-Nazi, racist imagery sewn into it. And those are the groups that use it. So I wonder, like, does he know that? Or do you think he knows that? Do you think he cares? Or do you think maybe he just heard it in circles and picked it up along the way? This is from Reddit. My unique Monique just put it in there. She says, from Reddit, Clown World is the idea that the world is becoming more and more like a grotesque freak show with degeneration on various fronts becoming worse. Right. So gay marriage, anything you could put in the idea of Clown World.
I find it interesting that he mentions that right after him talking about how, oh, my community is so upstanding. It's like that's what he's pitting that against. It's pretty insane. It's pretty insane.
Yeah. Zizuma said, Zizuma, correct me if I'm wrong. I think you're a Christian, aren't you? Says preachers went woke. If you're not a Christian, I'm sorry, I don't mean to put you in that group if you're not, but I think you're a Christian. Correct me if I'm wrong. Says preachers went woke. Yeah, I'm sure they would put all things woke in clown world.
Yeah.
But I'm curious, Al, do you think he knows of the connection between would you be shocked that he knows that there's a connection to neo-Nazis, far right?
I wouldn't be shocked, because I think he would think that it's justified. Like, he would find a way to justify using that without claiming, like, he would probably say, oh, the neo-Nazis didn't invent that word, right? And then maybe he might do a etymological thing on it, or who knows, like whatever, however anti-intellectual he might be with it. But yeah, it's a clown world is wild work.
Yeah. Shout out Durante Lamar.
Yeah.
Yes, wild work. Yo, when I looked up when I saw what it was all connected to, I was like, yo, it's offensive. And I don't mean this to drum up old wounds, but it almost made me feel the way I felt about Myth Vision connecting with Robert Price. Like, how close are you willing to get to somebody who maybe you don't mean me harm, but I'm telling you that person means me harm? How close are you willing to get to them? So even if Doug Wilson, I'm no fan of his, I don't know him, I've never, but just as a human being, if you're not out and out talking racist shit, how close are you willing to get to the people who are? So when I saw where the term came from and that he's using it, it just made me feel some kind of way, like, well, I don't know how close I want to get to you, because you might be getting too close to the people who want to do me harm. So it added an extra layer of, like, get away from me.
I was always bewildered by the guilt by association, how they try to how subjective that is to them in terms of how they use it, or how they wield that out. Because, like, it doesn't, and then which then raises suspicions about where their real commitments or where their real comfortability is around like their views about things, right? That's actually what's going on. Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, if they feel like they are more comfortable with that association than aligning with a premillennialist or an Arminian, I think that says something. I don't know. Like, I seriously.
Yeah. All right.
Have pride parades. We wouldn't have abortion on.
Taking back just a second so we can hear it all together.
We wouldn't have clown world. We wouldn't have drag queen story hours. We wouldn't have pride parades. We wouldn't have abortion on demand. Those things would be gone. And that would be, boy, this is different. So the thing that a lot of the people in the middle, let's call them normies, people who are they're not particularly theological, and they're not hard left either. They're just, I just want to live a normal life. Is that so wrong? The last 5 years has really...
The term normies, even, right? You're not hard left. You're not particularly theological. You're a normal person. And if you're a normal person, you don't want drag queen story hour. You don't want abortion on demand. You don't want, that's a normal person. Like, to look at the world through the eyes of the things that make me feel comfortable, that's normal. Yeah. Like, to not see that as offensive, you've got to really be stuck up your own ass to say that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Hey, Eddie says normal equals white, but no, not just white, cis. Like, it's that heteronormative, like you've got to fit into this very, very thin layer of what it means to be normal.
And that's definitely a definition that he's I honestly don't know how that's utilized in different subcultures a lot, or maybe in the broader culture. So my suspicion is that he has a more specific definition, like him and his his local community. That's going to be, I mean, normies are, to me, doesn't have always a negative connotation, but obviously he doesn't mean it that way. So
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Settled them a great deal, because clown world is not a livable place to bring up kids. It's just not. And a lot of the recoil or the reaction to this happens, and a lot of the reason we're getting the attention we're getting is people are hungry for answers that don't just whitewash it, or that don't sugarcoat it. And as I'm fond of saying, it's Christ or chaos.
But I think he is seeing something. He's seeing that there are people who are scared of your version of reality. It scares me because you want things to be normal that I don't like. You want, gay marriage. You want, you don't mind if a white male is not the head of the company, and like all these things that you want to be the new normal scares me. He's seeing people flock to Moscow, Idaho, which is making him feel confirmed in his, see, we were right. Why else would all these people be coming here if we didn't have something that made people feel like, thank you, sanity? Because out there, I had a black woman as a boss. I come here, it's back to normal.
Right. Yeah. And you see that same kind of, I mean, there's nothing, what's Christian about that anyway, right? Because like you're seeing this kind of, I don't know if I'm jumping the gun here a little bit, but it's this conflation between what the Bible might define as sin versus what's defined as unclean, or what might create this kind of like disgust in people. That's more like primal than it is like actual law. You know what I mean? Like how like versus proposition, right? And I think people with like Doug Wilson and a lot of people who might find his message attractive, that conflation is happening all the time, and they have no fucking idea that, you know what I mean? It's like,
and it's a huge circle jerk. Like if we all move there, and we all just keep making each other feel like, see, we were right. See, black fatigue, and then we come here. Right. I wonder how many people of color there actually are there.
Exactly. Like maybe one or two. I don't know. It might surprise us. I don't know. It might surprise us that there's a little more than we thought. Who knows? Right.
All right.
People say, looking around, that seems to be the case.
So you're seeing a big expansion in membership in these last few years, really since COVID, right?
Yes. Since 2019, our church community here has doubled in size. During the height of COVID, it was like a refugee column, people moving here, chased here by blue state governors, chased here by COVID restrictions, chased here by pastors and elders who flaked on them, who closed their church down, and people.
Pastors flaked on them by adhering to CDC guidelines.
Right.
And, I would love to see, the population may not be as dense, but I would love to know what the rates of infection and hospitalization and death were during COVID in Idaho, particularly in towns near him. I just would like to know. But if people are coming to him, you're not shutting your church down? Thank you. Finally, a man of reason. That's the reason that they want to rule the government.
Right. Yeah.
A lot of Christians were discovering that they did not have the Christian leadership that they thought they had. They thought shepherds were supposed to protect the sheep. And when the pressure came, it didn't happen.
Would you define yourself as a Christian nationalist?
Yes.
And how do you define that?
Well, mostly because I much prefer it to the names I usually get called.
How do you define that? Is it you are a Christian and you want this nation to be a Christian nation?
Yeah, I'm a Christian, and I'm an American who loves his country. So put those two things together. And since I believe that my Christianity is not something that is to be believed by me behind my eyes and between my ears.
That's not what he means, because if a Muslim person would have said, I'm a Muslim and I love this country. That wouldn't make that person a Muslim nationalist.
No, not at all.
So you can't say because you're a Christian and you love your country, therefore I'm a Christian nationalist. That's not what you're saying.
Yeah. And just the fact that he says American, like in itself, by like definitionally, I don't, you can't, like, he didn't clarify anything. He didn't define anything like here. Like all he did was just, I don't know. Like maybe he's trying to figure out how to make it palatable to the audience.
I believe a lot of his ministry has become, if not been, making fringe ideas palatable.
Right.
Because one of the things I got from you and Jay Witt, which because I didn't know him, I didn't know how unpalatable his views were. But you all seemed like you were turned off from him way back when he was talking his theocracy ideas. And we're going to get to the theocracy stuff in a second. But I'm just curious, when you were a Christian and you heard him talking theocracy, or was it theonomy? I'm not sure which he would have been on. Did it turn you off when he was going that far with it?
Yeah, I didn't. To me, I understood as a Reformed Christian at the time what this country was, right? So that's number one, right? We're a constitutional, country that was, born out of Enlightenment ideals and about tolerance and egalitarianism and sovereignty of the individual, which are not, those are not Christian ideas, right? Some people might argue that, otherwise, but categorically it's not. But secondly, I just thought it was I thought it was a bizarre take on church polity in general. Like I don't like. Here's one thing about Doug Wilson. Doug Wilson believes that the Protestant church needs a pope. I was just like, there needs to be a head bishop, right? I don't know a lot of the details about it, but I know that a lot of the Westminster people in California, like Daryl Hart, R. Scott Clark, all of them, they had fierce debates with Wilson about his views on all this. So, these are Reformed disagreements that are happening and have been happening for a while. But the fact that Doug Wilson is like literally a fringe taking the main stage on CNN like this is fucking wild. Like I can't fucking believe it. It's the bizarrest thing to me right now. Wow.
I wish I had that juxtaposition of how fringe he was to me when I was a believer, and then to see him becoming the man of the hour, as it were. And we might still be overstating it a little bit, because the only reason why CNN is interviewing him is because Pete Hegseth is a member of one of the satellite churches under Doug Wilson. So they're only interviewing him to try to put a spotlight on the views that Pete Hegseth might be whispering into Trump's ear. But so maybe we're overstating a little bit how important Doug Wilson is, but he's very important because the person who's in charge, like the degrees of separation between him and the chief power in this country are getting shorter and shorter and shorter.
Yeah. And you're seeing that, look at all the policies or look at some of the things that Trump and whether it's Pete Hegseth or all the architects around Project 2025. I mean, they're trying to instill Christianity or a version of it into, the government. And I mean, I'm sure a lot of the people here already know that, right? It's like, and then having a task force to root out anti-Christian sentiment or, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, this is reality. And you have people, granted, Doug Wilson is probably one part of that cog, but regardless, I think in his view, it's justified, and he doesn't really care about denominational purity in that sense. So,
Well, what you just said, the pretexts are being set up all over the place.
Yeah.
We use this analogy on this podcast many times before, but it fits here too. Be it, you can go from checkers to Connect Four to chess. When you know the move that you ultimately want to make, there are things that you can start setting up in the meantime. And maybe people shouldn't get alarmed about the thing you're doing in 2023 or the thing you're doing in 2025. But if you're not paying attention, in 2028, you'll be able to spring the trap And then people will realize, oh, wait, so you mean when you passed that law, when you signed that executive order, when you made it so that, people can proselytize at their jobs now, and when you made all these little things that you did, you were trying to set precedent or create cases or case law so that you could finally pull your finish him move in 2028. And these are the things that I think people need to be paying attention to. And this is why Doug Wilson is important, because his support for a lot of these things is giving people the steam in their engine to say, oh, we on the right track? Because this is what Doug Wilson was saying. He's written over 40 books. And one of his books is on, I forgot what the name of it is. His book is on how to create a Christian nation. And very many people in the GOP are using that book as the playbook.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just 2025, it's books that he's authored that are making people say, we've got a playbook already to run by. Let's try to get more into the meat of what he has going on here. All right.
Let's keep it moving.
Public truth.
What do you say to people of different faiths all over the world who
Well,
don't believe that and have a different God, a different understanding of life and how we all came here?
Yeah, I would say let's have a Bible study. Let's talk about it. Depending on what they've heard, I would want to assure them that the fact that we differ over who God is or differ over ultimate reality does not give me warrant to persecute you. So we're going to talk about this because...
But see, once again, like you said, Al, he's making it seem palatable. I'm not going to persecute you if you're, a Hindu. But he says, I would have a Bible study with them. Who says I want to have a Bible study with you? Why should I have to? Why do we have to? I don't want your God and your religion telling me about my God and my religion, or my non-God and my non-religion. Why should I have to have a conversation with you about your Bible just to live in this country? But what part of the Constitution is that?
Right. Exactly. And on top of that, best case scenario, who's going to really bet on, if we take his word at it, what's to say that the next person after Doug Wilson or whoever, psycho that he influences is going to follow that kind of formality, right? I mean, like I'm not going to bet that, if you're putting the actual structure in place so that people like you stand underneath that kind of authority, right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to, I'm not going to put my bet on anyone coming after him or around him, or even him himself, like being, like keeping with his word or whatnot. It's like,
what you're saying is key. Like you want rules in place,
right?
So that even if somebody were to abuse them, they couldn't hurt someone. Once you start putting rules in place that, just a little bit of pressure, just a little too much pressure on that rule becomes abuse. Those are the things you don't want to write into law. You want to write your laws so carefully that you don't get close to abuse without breaking that law. So he could say, I'm going to be gentle with the way I implement this. But like you said, there's no guarantee that that you're going to always be as gentle as you're saying.
Right.
And then two, that the next person will be. A great point.
Exactly.
The Christian faith does not advance by the sword. The Christian faith advances by preaching the sword.
What?
Well, you have to finish that statement. So, play the rest.
Okay, hold on. Let me.
About this, because the Christian faith does not advance by the sword. The Christian faith advances by preaching, the sword of the Spirit, planting churches, preaching, declaring, etc. So I'd want to visit with them. I'd want to imitate what the Apostle Paul did all through the book of Acts. He comes to Athens and he preaches.
You can pause right there. So what's funny to me is how Doug Wilson uses like metaphors or analogies. I don't know if you ever heard enough of him do that, but he doesn't say it in this interview, but I've heard him talk about how, the man is the head of the household, right? No question about it. But the woman is the crown. And then he says that almost with this like kind of gusto. And it's like, and he thinks it's like, oh, I'm gonna like shock these people. They never heard of this one, and they probably didn't. But then it's almost like he's like doing this kind of gotcha with it, and then he thinks that like creates some kind of like profound new way of looking at how women's role in the household or in the world can be, or blah blah blah. But I'm just when I heard that, I'm just like, the fuck you talking about, bro? like an inanimate object? Is that what you're saying? I mean, like, what? It's something that symbolizes, doesn't have a mouth, doesn't have ears, doesn't have a heart or a brain. I mean, what the fuck are we talking about? I know what he's trying to get at.
Yeah.
But it's not critical enough for him to really stop and really think about.
But imagine being complimented by that. Oh, we're the crown. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you've got to do something to your brain to let it wash over you and have the impact that he wants it to have. And that's one of the good things about people who deconvert, is you're very leery of con men. You know the impact that people want their words to have. And more than you are guarding against their words, you're guarding against the impact they're trying to have on you.
Yeah.
And I think for very many people who have not deconverted or deconstructed yet, you don't know when someone's trying to get an effect out of you. All you're worried about, all you're concerned with is, oh, well, they said this. Think of how many Christians fell for, well, Trump said he didn't know anything about Project 2025. Well, no, fuck what he said. What's the effect that he's trying to pull off here? That's what people like us were worried about.
Exactly. Yeah. And I almost feel like I don't know. It's like you kind of have to understand how he's trying to work it a little bit, right? Because I think he's trying to appeal to a certain type of person, maybe in some way. Maybe he doesn't know. I don't know. It's a little weird. I can't really figure out that puzzle entirely. But I think you're right. I think in terms of like, there is an effect he's going for. He's after. Yeah, definitely.
To a city full of idolaters, but he doesn't mount a military campaign. Yeah.
What would you say to historic scholars who say America was not founded as a Christian nation?
I would have fun with them.
Don't you think if the framers had the same vision as you,
What kind of
this
what
is a Christian nation, that they would have made that explicit in the Constitution and not have put in the Establishment Clause and the prohibition of religious tests for office holders, that they would have made it explicit in the documents?
The federal government may not have a Church of the United States. Like the Church of England, the Church of Denmark is the Lutheran Church. They have flat prohibited a Church of the United States. And they flat prohibited religious tests for office at the federal level.
Thomas Jefferson, for his part, was a big proponent of religious liberty. Right. It was one of his big accomplishments. It's on his gravestone that he had this religious liberty law passed in Virginia. So what would you say to historic scholars who would point to that and say, the framers of this country did not mean for this to be a Christian nation. They meant for it to be a nation where people can exercise their religion freely, no matter what that religion is.
First, I would invite these historic scholars in the most friendly way possible to have a public debate on the subject. I think I don't want to.
Now, one thing I will say, and I probably need to go back, it's been, probably over a decade, more than a decade since I looked into this. But I will say that a lot of the framers of the Constitution, when they were writing what they were writing, religious liberty for them was freedom to practice various forms of Christianity. I don't know that they would have been because they were not even as welcome to Jews as they were to various forms of Catholics and, pilgrims and, whatever. Yeah. But I do think that their religious liberty was religious liberty within Christianity, though if they were going to be true to their word, they had to apply it to other faiths as well. So I don't know if that buys me room to hear what he just said and not laugh as hard, but I still think, like Michael Apple said, he would get dog walked by the framers of the Constitution if he tried to debate them on whether or not, or debate somebody on whether or not they thought that this could be a Christian country. But I don't know. You have any thoughts on what he just said there?
I have no fucking idea what he's talking about. Like, I really don't. Like, I don't, like, when he says, "Oh, I welcome a debate." Like, well, okay, forget the fucking debate. Why don't you just summarize a few points? Like, if you really believe that that's, like, you know what I mean? Like, you're like, it's number one. Okay, I think that's the problem. And number two, like Christianity is not even mentioned in the Federalist Papers. Like, not even once. Like, there's nothing about religion there at all. And I think the framers of the Constitution, it's pretty safe to say, I haven't done an exhaustive study on it, on the founding fathers, but I do know that they remember the 30 Years' War, right? I mean, they were still far away from it, but the entire course of, the whole reason why the Enlightenment came about was because of the 30 Years' War. It's like we're tired of killing each other over dogma, whether or not you believe in justification by faith alone or not, right? So it's like, this is like,
Wow, that's a good point.
yeah. What's
here's what you.
Yeah, go ahead. No, you go ahead. You go ahead.
Here's what you just made me think about. Let's say they get their wet dream. They have what they get a Christian nation. Whose Christianity?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you said, the 30 Years' War was not between Christians and Muslims.
Right.
It was different ideas about what the Bible says and how you should read it. So, like, how do you have a theocracy when you can't even narrow down? Is it his church's denomination that's going to be to cast the deciding vote on what we mean when we say, this constitutes marriage, that constitutes adultery, that constitutes, go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. So here's the thing. What makes it a little confounding with Doug Wilson, right? Doug Wilson, I think he created a kind of ecumenical thing, right? I forgot what it's called. There's an acronym for it. I think it's CREC or something. I forgot what it stands for.
I can look it up right now.
Yeah. So what's a little confounding to me is that he is very, very dogmatically reformed, right? We're talking about Calvinist. We're talking about probably someone who subscribes to most of, in a way, the beliefs stated in the Westminster Confession, the three forms of unity, etc., right? But he created this thing, the CREC, whatever it stands for.
CREC stands for Communion of Reformed Evangelical Churches.
Yeah. So that has been criticized by Reformed people for lacking confessional. I haven't been in the Reform world for long, but that's one of the ways that they've criticized it, that it's not confessional enough. It doesn't really adhere to the standard Reformed confessions, right? And Doug Wilson's rebuttal to them has been that, well, he just believes that, just a high level summary of it is that he believes that he should prioritize and bring in people like Credo Baptists, etc. Like, he has this kind of ecumenical agenda with it. So he's really tight with his dogma, but then he's also extending his arms out to people, and he's compromising, I guess, to a certain degree. But that, to me, like, that is always an exercise in like where do you draw the lines then, right? Like, I don't think he really knows, like, what. So and it's this conflict, right? It's a conflict between your agenda to spread your message, to make it palatable, to bring people in, having people move to Moscow, Idaho. But then he also wants to, probably, promulgate his dogmatic views, right? As a Reformed person. All that to say, I know it's a little complicated maybe, but all that to say is that that's the problem with all of this. It really doesn't define anything. And whoever takes up takes up the mantle after him, whatever, they can change it and do whatever the heck they want with it. It does. There's no standard or rule by this. There's nothing.
Were you familiar with this terminology back when you were a Christian? Truxton put in the chat, he's big with the 7 mountains of influence mandate. Were you familiar with that as a Christian?
I'm not familiar with that, no.
Okay. So I got up on this a little while ago, maybe in light of it might have been in light of Project 2025. I'm not sure when, but I don't remember what they all are. Maybe you could Google them. But the 7 mountains, basically, you want Christian influence over these 7 spheres of society. So I think it was government, education, maybe it was entertainment. I don't remember but there's basically 7 facets of society that you want Christians over. And these folks have been working and weaseling their way into these positions, like I said, on a chessboard, or you're setting up a double play on Connect 4 or whatever. They've been setting up these final gotcha moves by putting Christians in different places, which is wild, because even when you think about the way Trump has staffed his cabinet with Fox News personalities, and these are people who check off all the boxes that evangelical Christians want to see somebody in this position and in that position. Like, a lot of us who've not been paying attention, we really have been sort of asleep at the wheel and are waking up to a reality. And maybe we're waking up now, but soon we're going to wake up to a reality that this is not what we signed up for. Like, this is not America anymore. This is not, like, the liberties that we now know are going to be gone. Yeah. And I think she's going to get to a point in this interview where she asked him, like, basically, what's the difference between the society that you want to see and Handmaid's Tale?
Yeah.
And I don't think I remember him having a really good answer to that. I think he tried to be funny, but I don't think he had a good answer to that.
She was also being way too nice. So we'll see.
All right, let's try to keep it moving.
Yeah.
King Ahab in the Old Testament says, "Let not him who puts on his armor boast like him who takes it off." But I think I would do okay. And I think I would do okay because I'd be able to point to the primary documents as well.
How would a Muslim or a Mormon or even a Catholic fit into your version of a Christian nation?
Yeah. So one of the reasons we have such problems with assimilating Muslims and all these different Hindus is that there are so many of them, right? So if we had a Christian republic and a Muslim came to Disneyland with his family, we have no problems. But when they fill up Dearborn, Michigan, that's just not. You can. It says in Amos 3:3, "Can 2 walk together except they be agreed?" You cannot put alien worldviews together, cheek by jowl, and have.
What the hell?
Stupidest thing.
This is
stupidest thing I've ever heard. First of all, he should know, as a pastor and as a Bible exegete, the verse, "Will 2 walk together except they agree," is not saying the only way people can walk together is if they agree about things. Like, you gotta have the same worldview. So that's not what the verse is saying. The verse is saying 2 people who end up walking together are not going to be walking together by chance. It's going to be because they decided to.
Right.
It's literally, will 2 walk together unless they have agreed to walk together.
Yeah.
So that actually refutes what he's saying. The Christian and the Muslim could agree to live side by side. The verse is not saying anything like what he's making it seem to say.
Oh my gosh.
What makes it worse is the fact that he's saying there's too many of these other people here right now. That's crazy as hell.
Oh my God. I think there were some people, I watched an interview where I think it was a pastor who was, I think, a part of Doug Wilson's church, whatever. And I think he said something about how, like, he wished that when he walked out of his house that, like, he was like, he saw like a Hindu person and he was just like, said that we don't, I forgot exactly how he said it, but the effect was that he wanted to see like a fellow white, Christian.
Well, that was the on when me, you, and Jay Witt did the reaction to the Christian Nationalism video. The guy literally said his neighborhood was becoming too brown.
Too brown.
Yes.
God. That's crazy, man. How the fuck were we part of that shit? Like I just can't, like, you know what I mean? The reason why I say this is not because there are plenty of Reformed people out there or Christians out there who are not racist like this. Okay, but all I'm trying to say is that there is a kind of, how should I say it? Not only theological justification, but what comes with it is this kind of association where people's what's the best way to say this, right? The Reformed churches have always been they were pro-slavery, right? The you know, a lot of these famous preachers from even the 20th century or the 19th century, I mean, they were racist. Like in the South, the PCA was a racist church organization, right?
Yeah.
So that like couple, like there's not that big of a difference between this and that. There really isn't. It's a continuation of all that. So the fact that yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
No, finish that.
Yeah. So I'm just saying, to me, it's really wild that, you know, I don't know if you were ever influenced by James Boyce, right? 10th Pres in Philly, or
not influenced by, but I did go to his church for a season.
Yeah, but all I'm trying to say is that, like, they have been. It was a racist church. It was a racist church in the past.
But it's crazy, Al, the fact that you say that, though, because I remember hearing people talk about how blacks were either not allowed in James Boyce's church, the 10th Presbyterian Church,
You're right,
or when they were allowed in, they had to sit in the balcony or whatever. Right. But when I was a Christian, I remember going to that church and feeling like, I don't know what I felt, but I do remember that shortly after people like me started embracing Reformed theology, there became a movement, and Jay Witt talks about this a lot, the Young Black and Reformed movement, where all these young Black folk were going into the Reformed church. But it's crazy. Like, if I was a Christian, I would have said, see, look how Satan messed up what God was doing. Because what was funny, between 2010 and 2015, all these young Black Christians ran into the Reformed church thinking they were getting this intellectual approach to the faith. They were dissing the Black church now and all that. Then when the whole Black Lives Matter thing popped off and they saw the true colors of these Reformed folks and saw how racist they were, then there was an exodus of all these young Black Reformed folks from these Reformed churches. Yeah. Crazy.
It's crazy. It's crazy. And I could say, you know, when I was at John MacArthur's church for about 4 years, and I remember someone told me, my Bible study leader told me at that time, he's like, there are people in this church who are against interracial marriage. And I was so confused. You know what I mean? Because I just like, to me, like, I don't see how that's defensible at all, or how you can even tolerate that. Like, that's
how you could be this international,
right?
Like church, this preacher who's written books and taught so many, you could be sitting under him for years and years and years and still hold those kind of views. What does that say?
Right. And I think as we move on forward, I think this all ties into at least the thesis that I have, you know, written or think about, you know, like how I think about this. I think people need to understand it's not that different than what is fundamental about, I think, dogmatic Christianity. So, yeah.
Hey, let me just throw this out there for those who are watching. If you're like, oh, they're going to wrap it up soon because it's been an hour. Hey, you may want to, like, maybe you have to come back to finish this. We're going to keep plowing.
We're going to keep going
because this is very important, and I want you to be able to come back to this video, even if you only watch 20 minutes now and 20 minutes later, whatever, to come back to this video to be able to press on and think about what this dude is saying and how it plays into the national conversation, because all of us need to be prepared to do something about what's coming down the pike. And as we get towards the end, which we're going to eventually, I want to have a conversation about what can we be doing, what should we be doing, because this shit is not like, yo, watch out because it could happen. It's happening. So we need to hear what these people are saying. We need to be shooting this shit down as often and as expertly as we can. And we need to be thinking about what we can and should do. So,
Yep.
Peace. Right. So basically, I think a lot of the religious turmoil that we have, the clashes that we would have, could be addressed by a sane immigration policy, not a policy that tries to regulate what people can say.
yo, did this fool just say? She asked him, think about what her question was. What would you say to the Muslim person or somebody who doesn't share your religious views? Da, 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 da. His response is, a lot of this would be cut down. We wouldn't even have to have these kinds of conversations if we just had a better immigration policy. Now think about what Trump administration is doing with getting people out of the country who are not already nationalized or born here. Like his views on if we had a better immigration policy, we wouldn't have to have these conversations about other religions. That's so myopic to think the other religions are coming to this country from the outside, as if you can't be a homegrown Muslim, a homegrown Buddhist, a homegrown, like what the hell is he talking about?
Yeah. I have no fucking idea. It's like, he makes the Old Testament seem more hospitable to foreigners. You know what I mean? Seriously.
Yeah, I guess
with all how the Old Testament talks about foreigners, he makes them sound like the Bible is a lot more compassionate and nicer than he actually is. Like what the fuck? Like it makes this whole country was founded on immigrants. This is an immigrant, fundamentally about immigrants. Like this is how immigrants have become citizens. Like that's it's business as usual. It's not anything
What about
new.
people who don't share your worldview? We should stop importing them.
Yeah.
What?
Exactly. What the fuck is it?
Wow.
And where do you and how do you define that? Where do you draw the line? So yeah, keep going. Yeah, keep it moving.
Yeah.
In their religious convictions while here.
So the foundation for you is you believe this is a Christian nation,
Right.
despite the debate from historic scholars.
Exactly. But notice that when the Muslim says to me, "Who are you to say?" I can say, "All right, we have to live together. Who are you to say which way it should go?" And then the secularist comes in and says, "Let's do it this way." And Muslim and I would both turn to him and say, "And who are you to say?"
So you feel like we can't have a functioning society
Yeah, we can't.
without.
And look at.
What is he talking about? So what I get from this, tell me what you think too, but just like he's literally thinking of this country as like a church with a confession. I mean, what do you know what I mean? It's like baptized in the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, and you have the same beliefs about communion and all that stuff. Do you believe in the gospel? But I mean, what is he? It's a conflation. It's a complete conflation.
She asked him plainly, "You don't think it can work,
right?
Unless this is a Christian." He says, "No, like it's got to be the way he says it's got to be, or else it's not going to work."
Right.
Imagine the government functioning that way. Imagine the government getting it in their head. This needs to be a Christian nation, and we need to do whatever we can to root out non-Christians, and then acting on that.
It's really about what he defines as what works. I mean, if someone comes to his congregation and doesn't believe in the Trinity, and they could come back every Sunday, and I don't know how they would behave towards this person. Maybe they would sign up for membership. I don't know, who knows, and would get rejected or something like that. But it's not working because they're the ones writing the rules about who's accepted or not. That's the only reason why it's not working.
Right.
I mean, that person can still come and listen to your sermons and still take something away from it, maybe feel enlightened about it. I don't know, some catharsis, even though they may not agree with all the doctrines and all the shit you believe in. But you know what I mean? It's like, what the fuck what does working mean? What the fuck does working mean?
You are your own problem. You are the reason why it doesn't work. It's not because, you see that you're a secularist, you see things different than me. But who's willing to live and let live, and who's not?
Right.
You're the one who's not.
You're not.
That's crazy. I need to take that. We need to just hear that again, so that we know like you said, Al, we're not clutching pearls. We're not overdoing it.
Right.
He's saying he believes these things. He's discipling people to live this way. And the degrees of separation between him and the people in Congress, like, there almost is none at this point.
Right.
I just read an article that talked about how many GOP leaders are reading his books. Like, we're not overblowing this. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna take it back just a second to hear that again. It's crazy.
Society currently not functioning. I can say, all right, we have to live together. Who are you to say which way it should go? And then the secularist comes in and says, let's do it this way. And Muslim and I would both turn to him and say, and who are you to say?
So you feel like we can't have a functioning society
Yeah, we can't.
without.
And look at our society currently not functioning.
Do you believe that secular society is basically?
Has our society failed? Like, do we live in dystopia? Like, what does it mean? Look at it currently, and that's proof that it can't work. Like, it's working.
We have.
It was working just fine before you came. Go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. Here's some facts. I mean, we have a functioning alliance. We'll see what happens to that with Trump. But we have free trade. We have, technological innovation and et cetera. We've expanded, the rule of law. We've,
we had free and fair elections.
We had free and fair elections.
He started, spreading these election fraud lies.
Yeah, exactly. Like medical innovation, we have the amount of services we have available to everybody. What the fuck is he talking about? It makes no sense. I mean, what is he? Here's the thing. It's like I'm trying to put myself back in my reform brain, right? I'm trying to do that. I'm literally trying to do that, and I still don't know what he means. I think this is in some ways how far. Maybe it's because I'm an Asian person, I don't know, or I was brought up a certain way. But one thing's for sure, I think, like this kind of authoritarian bent and how people think reality should be formed or whatnot, how it should be structured in their minds. If it's not structured that way, maybe that's what he means. That is not working. I don't know, or he might just point to the LGBTQ. Thinking.
But doesn't not working, if what you're saying is true, if that's what he means, doesn't not working simply mean I don't like it?
But
because it's functioning.
Right. People, upward mobility, even though that has been a struggle, right, in terms of like in certain aspects of the erosion of the middle class, but at the same time, right, the amount of economic availability now is, the opportunities we have, right? You compare that to 100 years ago. I mean, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? So exactly. So going back, I think it's like a conflation between what I think is wrong versus what I don't like. It's that primal,
exactly,
right?
Yeah,
what I don't like.
A religion of its own that is the antithesis of your
Correct.
Christianity?
Secularism.
hold on.
Look at our society currently not functioning.
Do you believe that secular society is basically a religion of its own that is the antithesis of your
Correct.
Christianity?
Secularism is a religious faith, religious commitment. Remember what I said about if there is no God above the state is God. Mm-hmm. Well, if that's the case for the secularist, and I believe it is, and it's a religious level commitment.
If there is no God above the state is God. That's a religious strong arm tactic to equate people of no faith with people of faith. People do this on my Facebook all the time. Atheists are religious people too.
Brady, real quick, your mic is kind of going a bit. It's bugging out a little. We're getting some feedback as well. There you go, static. Yes, that's right. We good? No.
Still bad?
Oh, yeah, we're back. You're back. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, thanks, guys. I don't know what I was saying. Unless you have any thoughts, I'll just let him play.
What was he talking about just now? He was talking about
Then who for the secularist, and I believe it is.
Oh, that's right.
And
Secularism as religion.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I was saying, people say this on my Facebook all the time. They try to make it seem like I'm just as religious as them. There are things that, I'm just as, I believe in miracles too, the life coming from non-life or the Big Bang. Like, no, we are not. Secularism is not a religion. Humanism is a religion. Secularism is not a religion. Atheism is not a religion. The idea that I don't subscribe to a God, if there's no God above the state, then the state is God. No, the state is the state. The state is people coming together saying we need organization, we need hierarchy, we need to delegate some people to speak for many people. That's what the state is.
Yeah.
The state is not God. No one is talking your religious talk. And just because we don't have a God over top of us, you can't try to put us in the same category, saying that we do have one just because you want us to be like you. You have a God. With no God over the state is the state, not God.
Yeah. And I think, it's probably grown out of his presuppositionalism to some degree, right? Because he thinks that to be an atheist or to be a secularist, you have to accept it by faith, which is totally wrong. I mean, that's not, I'll argue with anybody who claims that is like that. That is categorically mistaken. That is wrong. So,
religious level commitment, then who's in charge of the current secular God?
And how much is your
Secular God.
post-millennialism belief driving all of this?
Oh, so she just asked what you talked about.
Commitment. Then who's in charge of the current secular God?
And how much is your post-millennialism belief driving all of this?
I'm just impressed that she was prepared to ask that question.
yeah.
Great deal of it, yes.
Tell our viewers about that, what that is.
Most American evangelicals are premillennial, meaning that they believe everything's falling apart, and when things get really bad, the Antichrist is going to take over, and then Jesus will come again and save us from all that. But it's a pretty grim view of human history between now and the end. So that's the premillennial understanding. A postmillennialist is someone who believes that the gospel is going to be victorious in the world. The nations will, in fact, be discipled.
And you have said, I don't have a direct pipeline to Pete Hegseth.
Right.
But don't you think your influence is having an impact right now?
I hope so. I write books, and I don't write and publish books to launch them into the void. I want people to read them and be influenced by them.
Mm-hmm.
So in the chat, maybe y'all could put this, and if you're not watching live, in the description of the video, his idea is that through the spread of Christianity, the world is going to get better and better and better until it looks just like Jesus is ruling. And then at that point, Jesus will actually return and rule. But it's the church's job to get it looking like he rules anyway. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done. It's going to get better and better. And I was a premillennialist most of my Christian life. It was going to get worse and worse and worse. And then the Antichrist was going to come, and then it might have been a rapture and all that. He said, no, we don't believe that version of Christianity. It's our job as the church to make things get better and better and better and better and better until Jesus returns. Let's say that's all they want to do is just make things better and better and better and better for everyone. Would you be mad at that kind of program if they just said, hey, let us steer? Let us, matter of fact, not just steer, let us be the ones sitting in the front seat of the car. You all go sit in the back seat, or maybe you guys ride the wagon, or maybe you guys walk. I don't know. But just let us take control. The Christians will make it all right. And trust us, you will want to live in the kind of world that we're going to make for us all. What's so bad about that? How would you respond? rather than us disagreeing about everything, and rather than us not, just let us rule it. And I guarantee you'll like the result. Al, you're shaking your head. Why not? Why wouldn't you just let them? They're going to make it better and better and better until Jesus returns. And if he never returns, at least things got better and better and better.
So the interviewer on CNN, we're gonna. I don't know if I'm gonna spoil it for us, but I think we need to be really aware of what that entails. Obviously, it's going. That's part of the making it palatable, right, or the marketing aspect of it. Even though it already sounds bad already with what Doug Wilson said, right? It already sounds terrible. But if anybody here knows anything about theonomy or Christian Reconstructionism, I mean, they also want to institute laws based on Old Testament, like the old Mosaic law. And we're talking about things in Leviticus, things in, why am I forgetting? Deuteronomy. And we can go more into that, but he also, one of the things that Doug Wilson, he's going to say this a little later, but he's trying to not associate himself too much with some of the founders of theonomy. So
Rushdoony.
Rushdoony and all that. So we can get into a little more detail on that as we move on.
So you're saying you wouldn't want them to make things better and better and better for you to live in the world that they would create?
Well, it's how they would define better, right? And what they define to be better is literally a structure of a state.
Most people think Jesus was better than the God of the Old Testament. If they make a world that's Jesus-y, no?
I mean, what is it?
I'm trying to be angel's advocate here.
What are we talking about? Are we talking about having free bread and fish? And all, like, is that what we're talking about?
We're talking about laws that will make God smile. And if God's smiling, you as being made in his image will probably be smiling too. So husbands being head of the homes, wives not having to, have that headache of making decisions anymore because husbands are doing it all.
Yeah. So once again, am I jumping the gun here? But it's an.
I already jumped the gun a little bit.
Yeah, you jumped the gun a little bit. We're talking about an authoritarian structure that is modeled on the ancient world. Like we're talking about women and children who don't have rights, basic rights that we have already. We're talking about a view of sex where it's all about the domination of a passive sexual object, that being a woman. We're talking about a world that revolves around men, their egos, their decision-making alone being final.
And we're also talking about capital punishment for certain sins, aren't we?
Yeah. So we're talking about like in Deuteronomy 24, right? Deuteronomy 22, where the Bible has a test for virginity for women. And that has all to do with whether or not you have a hymen that is pronounced enough that it would break on the first night of your marriage, which is not a reliable test of virginity at all scientifically. So there is potential capital punishment in that scenario. The list
and what's
goes on
wild
and on.
is she's going to ask him about some of this stuff, and he's not going to shy away from saying, no, that would happen in my society.
Yeah.
Which is wild.
I mean, she could have enumerated. So yeah, go ahead. Yeah, let's keep it moving. Yep.
Read them and are influenced by them, and they're in a position to actually do something. It's gratifying. I'm happy about that.
Because for many years, decades, frankly, your views were really seen as fringe.
Yes.
Now, do you see them?
Not by me, not by my wife.
Not by you or your wife or your community, but
yes.
They were seen as fringe. Do you now see them becoming more mainstream?
Yes, I do. my views on a number of things have become steadily more mainstream and have done that without me moving at all.
You think people have come to you? They've
This should frighten you. This should frighten everyone.
Yeah,
come to
people.
yours.
So basically, what has happened as the whole zeitgeist of the official zeitgeist has moved steadily left into more and more woke territory, a number of normies, as I called them earlier, looked at where that was going and said, I don't want to go there. And so maybe we ought to give that Wilson character a second look. He sounded pretty crazy 20 years ago, but I'm rethinking that.
And what are you seeing happen in the Trump administration right now that reflects your Christian values?
The series of appointments in the federal judgeships that led to the overturning of Roe would be the central thing. If
Like, for anybody who says your votes don't matter, he's telling you right now how much the votes that had been cast mattered, because all the federal judges that were put in place, many of them were conservative, and that allowed for the overturning of Roe v. Wade. And there's so many other things. The idea that Trump now has basically immunity for actions committed while in office, conservative judges gave him that. Like, this is what our votes have done.
church doesn't have a spire with a bell in it yet. But if we had the bell, that would have been, when Dobbs came down, we would have been ringing it all day.
And you want to see Obergefell?
I want to see Obergefell go the same.
Obergefell is the case about same-sex marriage. If that gets overturned, same-sex marriage goes away. He wants to see that overturned, just like Roe v. Wade was overturned. This is like, I am not gay. I could never have an abortion, but I know the rights that I would want if I was a woman. I know the rights that I would want if I was homosexual. I want for other people the same rights I would want for myself. You don't have to be in one of these categories to say, wait, you're trying to overturn what? That's wrong. That's against freedom. So like, it's worth being up in arms about some of this shit, whether you're part of the groups being affected or not.
Direction. I am very pleased with the naming of the fraudulent behavior that has overseeing the squandering of trillions of dollars. One of my old jokes was that I'm opposed to chaplains praying at Congress because the Bible says not to turn a den of thieves into a house of prayer. And it's just the pillage that is going on there has been remarkable, and I'm just very gratified at the efforts of Doge and other things like that to put a spotlight on those sorts of things.
I wish they would have played a clip right there of Trump saying, I think it was about 2 months ago, where he came and said, wait, what was Doge all bullshit? Like, where's all the savings they were supposed to, like, even Trump ended up saying, like, what did we get from Doge?
Right.
But here he is praising them still.
And what about banning transgender military members?
Oh, that's great.
You think that's great?
That's absolutely great.
And gender
issues.
Gender issues.
I'm, as I mentioned before the interview, I was in the submarine service, for example, and
I remember this part. This is
I remember this part
really,
too.
Really
Yeah, this is fucking weird.
Let me know where to stop.
All right, I'll let you know. Yeah.
Whatever idiot thought of putting women on submarines?
Well, what would you say to a female submariner who's been doing the job and kicking butt doing it?
I'd say, yeah, we don't want you down here kicking butt.
Why?
Because I went to sea a couple of times. We were submerged for 2.5 months. All right. 2.5 months, let's say 130 guys in a submarine with 3 women on it. Okay, so let's put 130 horny sailors and 3 women and submerge them out in the middle of the Atlantic for 2.5 months. What could go wrong?
Also,
you
I'd say
you could stop it right there. So I couldn't believe when he said that. One of the things that I didn't look this up yet, right? But I'm sure we can look up data on, has there been violations of a sexual nature or of a violent or aggressive nature in the Navy, and see, does that stack up to any kind of illogical suspicions or hyperfixation, as well as, I mean, it's a hyperfixation for that. That's definitely true. But the paranoia that he has, right, about all of this. And I am very, here's the thing, right? Anyone who goes into the military, I mean, you're in there because for whatever reason it may be, you want to serve the country. But you're there and you're taught discipline. You're taught how to behave. You're taught how to be friendly and cordial, work together, you cooperate and get shit done. It's a tall order in terms of like how people are trained to be there. And the fact that he says that women, men cannot, control their urges or impulses. Yeah, control themselves. I wonder how it might stack up against his own congregation. How many men in his congregation?
Damn, Al, that's crazy. Because I was just sitting here thinking to myself, like, on one hand, I understand what his concern is.
Right.
On the other hand, why isn't there a higher standard? Because we know, we've seen the reports, we know that there is sexual abuse, sexual assault, harassment in the military. But it's not that, the soldiers, the Marines, the submariners, it's not that they don't have self-control. It's that there's a culture that allows it. There's a culture that doesn't penalize, that doesn't take women's reports seriously, that doesn't hold soldiers accountable. There's a culture, even all the way up to the higher ups, that they need to be held accountable. And because the culture that's created, you can't say, hey, well, they're men. What do you expect? Because like you said, they don't have to be on a submarine at sea for 2.5 months. Because I think she brought it up in the interview, either in this part or the other part. She brought up the allegations about him protecting ministers at his church who were accused of assault, sexual assault,
pedophilia.
And he covered for them. He covered for them.
Right.
So fuck being on a submarine for 2.5 months. We're in Moscow, Idaho, at your church. So then maybe women shouldn't be allowed at your church. Why isn't that the natural, conclusion of your reasoning?
Exactly. It's a great question. What are the outcomes you're looking for, Doug? We have no fucking idea what they are. What's the criteria?
Wow.
You just.
Why are women allowed at your church? It happens at your church.
Exactly.
So now what?
It's better at them to be in a submarine with 100 other guys, really, in my view. Yeah.
Wow. Craziness.
You have a patriarchal view of how society should be.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, there's certain places that ought to be male-only spaces, and combat is one of them.
I think your church should be one of them.
Exactly.
And being closed up in a submarine is another one, and so what it boils down to is that sort of thing. Egalitarianism has been the basic platform, and feminism is a subset of egalitarianism. And you can't split the difference on this sort of thing. So if you're going to have a submarine, you have to make a decision who's going to be on it, right? And either the egalitarian, secular
I'm going to skip ahead a little bit because he's going to belabor this point. We already just trashed that idea.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't need to spend too much time on that.
Right.
He just said, we're back to a uniform standard of, and when you send Bruno into shower with the junior high girls, and you force that on.
Do we need to play this while he's talking about basically applying that same rule to transgender students and things like that.
No, we could skip over that a little bit.
Okay.
I want to, yeah, you can skip over that. Yep.
Are going to be drafted at some point to go fight in some stupid. Okay, that's no good, and we should never do that again. I'm an advocate of Christendom, but the first Christendom had some warts, that had some things that we don't ever want to do again. So there are slippery slopes on the Christian side of things, and I think.
So he's admitting that Christendom, having a Christian nation, it didn't work in the past. If we do it again, there's some things that we shouldn't do. Christendom 2.0, basically, is what he's calling for here. I mean, maybe we can give him some credit for admitting that.
I guess. I mean, what's the stop? I mean, isn't this driven by the Holy Spirit? Shouldn't that be enough to protect, his agenda and not come in, fall into any pitfalls about, the past and making those same mistakes? I don't know. But if anything, he's not really giving us much. He's not giving us much about what 2.0 should be. And why would it be different?
I think I remember she's going to ask him what should be different. I think she's
okay. Okay.
But right now, that's not anywhere close to being our central problem.
You basically think you're David and Goliath.
Yeah.
So over my shoulder right here, there is a poster of the cover of a book, and it says, "It's good to be a man."
Right.
What does that mean?
It means that this is that book is an argument that is a defensive reaction defending young men who don't know who they are because they have been taught their entire life that white heterosexual males are cancerous. So
once again, I think his answers are very, very telling.
Mm-hmm.
She asked him about a book, the title of which is "It's Good to Be a Man." His response to what that title means, nothing in the title said anything about being a white man. He begins to answer the question by saying, we have a generation of young men who've been taught that being white, cis men is a bad thing. So his defense of man or manhood is a defense of white manhood. I think that's very interesting that was the way he answered the question about what does it mean it's good to be a man. It shows you who he's looking out for.
And he kind of just says it so casually without any, I don't know. I can't. Is that him being brave about it? I don't know. It's because once again, I think a lot of times you, me, and Jay Witt, we've talked a lot about how these people are just saying the quiet parts out loud and how they're so unashamed to do it now is really frightening. So, yeah.
Michael Apple, thank you for the 666 super chat. Says, anyone else think this guy would ever really get out of line with respect to 47's Caudillo America?
Mm. You there, Brady?
Yeah. I'm thinking. I think Doug Wilson feels so validated by the fact that his views are getting the kind of press that they're getting. I don't know. I don't know what Trump's tolerance is for somebody else being as influential or powerful as he is. But it's interesting because a lot of Trump's ideas, we find out every once in a while who these ideas are coming from. They're not originally his ideas.
Right. So
I think as long as the people are willing to let Trump take credit for their ideas, they'll get along just fine. I don't know if Doug Wilson would ever try to, pull rank if he got close enough, to the inner circle. But I think he's just happy to have his ideas floating in the heads that are next to Trump. I don't know. What do you think, Al?
Not sure. Don't know what to think yet about that.
All right.
masculinity is tagged as toxic masculinity. If a boy acts like a boy in school, we hit him on the head with a chemical rock. Because we don't know how to discipline them. We don't know how to make boys stand up straight. We don't know how to make them work.
I wonder if he's ever or never heard the idea that a lot of gender stereotypes are social constructs. If a boy acts like a boy in school, like that statement is simply saying if a boy acts like what we've conditioned boys to act like. But that seems to be removed from even his not just phrasing of the question, but what's behind the question, as if there is such a thing as this is what boys act like, as opposed to no, we've made this what boys act like.
I don't know about you, but I think women, learning how to stand up straight. I mean, he just listed a couple things that women would benefit. You know what I mean? It has nothing to do with gender. It just has to do with, like, if we're talking about standing up straight, I mean, that's just good, right? It's just, but it goes to show that it's very loaded. It's very loaded with it. Once again, it's sad that he really can't really give a good example. He can't really define that really well, at least here.
Work hard.
Mm-hmm.
Not to say later on. Yeah.
Don't know how to train boys as boys who are going to become men. One of the books that I wrote was called Future Men, because boyhood should be aimed at manhood, and boys and girls are not the same, and so you have to train them. You have to train girls to be women, and you have to train boys to be men. And if you don't do that, and you spend your time attacking boys for masculine traits, they're gonna grow up to be pretty screwed up. And
right now, I mean, a lot of people believe
such an archaic view of just the plane of human existence that they want to take us back to.
that there's a masculinity crisis in the United States. Just when you look at the data of, school test scores, graduation rates, that kind of thing. Are you seeing
absolutely
more men be drawn to your church right now?
Yes. One of the things that is attractive to many of the people who have come here is that we're not apologetic about the masculinity that is present here. Now, neither are we apologetic for the femininity, but then as soon as you say masculinity, femininity, people say you're stereotyping. You're saying men are like this and women are like that. And I'd say, yep, we're stereotyping, guilty.
So what does that mean? What role do you think women should play in society?
Women are the kind of people that people come out of.
So you just think they're...
When I first heard that, man, I don't even know what to say in a way, man. That's just... How did he go from that to that?
For me, it's always important to keep in mind, what did she ask? And then what did he say?
Right. Yes.
She asked about the role of women. Women are the kind of people that people come out of. My Unique Monique's comment says it all. I wish I could bring you into this conversation right now, Monique. I really would love to hear your thoughts. Women are the kind of people that people come out of. I don't know what to say other than I just think it's important that we realize people like this are pouring I don't know if you know Pete Hegseth, right? He wrote a book, and in his Senate confirmation hearing for the position that he now has in Trump's administration, they were grilling him on, in your book, you say women shouldn't be in the armed forces at all.
Right.
And it was interesting because in his confirmation hearing, he kept slipping up, talking about the troops and saying our boys. But then he realized, oh shit, I'm in a Senate confirmation, and they're asking me whether or not I would allow women to have any role in the military. I need to at least act like I would for now to get this job. But he kept slipping up and saying, our boys need to this, our boys need, our men and women.
Minimum, right.
But this is where these ideas come from. This is what these people really think about women, about men. And so when he says, like, women are the kinds of people that people come out of, he really has relegated women to that is your role on earth. That and go get me another beer. That's why you're here.
This is a weird, I think we deal with it all the time, but it's like Proverbs 26:4-5, right? Answer not a fool according to his folly, lest you be like him yourself. That's great because we're just responding to the video. But then verse 5, right? Answer a fool according to his folly, lest he be wise in his own eyes. So it's like, what are he's telling us something, and he's not saying the thing that, it's like a weird thing to say to describe it. It's like, it's almost like he's literally not saying women are just an object that, you know what I mean? It's like that serves our purpose, and the only role they have is to bear children and be in the household, right? And it's like it's like he's trying to make it palatable. What is he talking to? Which is
Naja Phillips. What's up, Naja? Naja says, right. Yeah. Just calling the handmaids at this point.
Exactly.
I want to say it again just so that we hear it. Just so that you know, I want you to have the proper rage going forward. If you're watching this and you start hearing about Christian nationalism, you start hearing about what's happening in the midterms, and maybe it won't be so bad. And, I want you to just have the rage that is fitting. Women are the kinds of people that people come out of. Let that motivate you to do. So in case anybody's like, it's getting late, I got to get ready to go. One of the things I'm going to suggest that we all need to be doing, I don't think we should be playing as nice as I was playing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In terms of, I'm not out to deconvert people or deconstruct. I just want to be a soft place for you to land. No, I think people really need to come out of this shit, because not every Christian thinks this way, but there are people who do think this way, and they're running our government.
Right.
The angels in heaven rejoice when one soul is redeemed over. I'm going to rejoice whenever anybody says, I'm done with this shit. And whatever I can do to help you be done with it, even if I can just get you to separate yourself from the literal interpretations of it, that will change what you vote for, I believe.
I mean, I'm right there with you. I, for one, he's being as nice as he can be to talk, like he's talking about how, white men have gotten the short end of the stick, and we need to put women in their place. And when I hear that, I mean, nothing like this is actually why I wrote about, on Facebook, I heard that I was so disgusted that I had to write something about it. And I'm not a woman. I can't speak from a woman's perspective the way, any woman who understands who's gone through this. But just for the sake of not just women, but everybody, and just this entire framework in which, like, we're just facing this entire, like, hellish landscape of how politics is being influenced by this. Like, this is really, like, I'm there with you. Like, I'm not going to be nice anymore. This is actually the reason why I've gotten, onto my personal social media, because I was really hesitant for a long time while I was deconstructing with Ichabod. That I like, now this is the time, and I'm like going out there protesting, going out there trying to get involved in politics, local community, etc. So this has motivated me like no else to really get more involved. So
I was going to say let's let them cook, but let's let them go ahead and finish ruining this meal.
It's
So we
going to
should-
get it's going to get
yeah.
worse. Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
to
Hold on,
have
real quick.
babies.
My unique
That's it.
Monique said, "I have daughters, and this kind of rhetoric scares me for their
Yep.
future."
Yep.
Feel you.
They're just a vessel.
No, it doesn't take any talent to simply
Oh my God.
Oh God, yeah. It's even worse. It's even worse than the first thing.
women are the kind of people that people come out of.
So you just think they're meant to have babies. That's
well,
it. They're just a vessel.
No, it doesn't take any talent to simply reproduce biologically. The wife and mother, who is the chief executive.
Even that, like he's trying to big up women. Like, no, they're not just birthing beings, but to say it doesn't take any talent to, like, it takes a tremendous amount of fortitude to go through 9 months of growing a person. Physically, psychologically, emotionally, socially, like
For
shut
someone,
the fuck up.
exactly. For someone as educated as he sounds or whatever, I mean, there was a point for most of human history. It was like I don't know what the percentage is, but maybe a 30% chance a woman wouldn't survive childbirth. What is he talking about?
And
Like,
that even that statistic is due to the poor craftsmanship
right.
of the God he believes fashioned us. We're fearfully and
Exactly.
wonderfully made, but we're fearfully and wonderfully made in such a way that pregnancy and childbearing is life-threatening for many women,
Right.
especially if they're giving birth when they're younger, before their pelvises are fully grown and their hips. Like I made a post about the Prophet Muhammad marrying a 6-year-old and consummating that marriage with her when she was 9. And then I made it in the same post talking about, Mary, the mother of Jesus. She was probably around 12 to 14. And then all the Christians jumped on the post talking about, oh, you trying to make it seem like Joseph was some dirty old man. He was probably in his late teens. That's not even the point. The point is a 12 to 14-year-old, even if she's menstruating already, in a lot of cases, their bodies are not physically developed to the point where childbearing is easy and is not going to be problematic in terms of being a threat to her or the child. So if God is the one who does, if there's an intelligent designer, he intelligently designed it in such a way that these people who are the kinds of people that people come out of can't do that without threatening their lives in many cases. And to make it worse, supposedly told the first woman, because you did this, childbearing is now going to be even more painful for you.
Exactly.
So you're not really bigging up women to say they're the kind of people that people come out of, and it takes no talent to do that. Like,
it takes a lot less talent to have a penis.
right.
What the fuck is he talking about? God, yeah, I couldn't believe my ears.
I know, and I'm not going to say no names, but if you know me, you might know. I'm not going to say much more about that, but I know women who are the wives of very patriarchal, heavy-fisted, not that they're physically beating their wives, but I know Christian women who I'm afraid for them because of what I know about their husbands. And when I hear him say what he says about women, I don't know him, I don't know his wife. I'm afraid for his wife.
Yeah, likewise, I would be afraid too. Yeah. I mean,
let alone the women at his church who are wives of the men that he's discipling.
Right. And the ones who take that submissive role and just
I talked about this when I had Crystal W on. Like, I apologize to women because I had some of these same, like, I wanted a Christian wife because she was going to have this kind of I'm here to submit to you kind of mindset. And I realized how fucked up that is now. But when I was a Christian, I thought that was such a great thing if I had a Christian, God-fearing, Bible-believing wife, because that I'm going to be able to kick my feet. I would never have said it like this, but somewhere in my heart of hearts, I thought I'd be able to just kick my feet up and relax with that kind of wife. She basically would be a servant, a sex slave.
I have no words, man. This is,
Yeah.
it's crazy. That's really, really nuts. I can't believe that this is, once again, them trying to make this a mainstream thing, and they're boasting about their church congregations doubling. Doug Wilson is planting more churches around the country. I mean, once again, it's still a vast minority, right? But the fact that this disproportional minority has now become just
and we let it happen.
Right.
Everybody who said I'm not going to vote because my vote doesn't count, or I don't like Kamala, or whatever your reason was, you're part of, we let this happen.
Right.
And we need to stop this shit.
Of the home is entrusted with 3 or 4 or 5 eternal souls.
I'm here as a working journalist.
So that's his attempt to try to make the husband's roles. Oh, don't think he's got it easy.
Yeah.
Let's listen to him talk about the weight that's on the husband.
You're stereotyping. You're saying men are like this and women are like that. And I'd say, yep, we're stereotyping.
They're just a vessel.
No, it doesn't take any talent to simply reproduce biologically. The wife and mother, who is the chief executive of the home, is entrusted with 3 or 4 or 5 eternal souls.
Oh, I'm sorry, he's talking about the woman. The wife and mother, once again, like we said, it's this flowery language to make the woman feel like he's not subjugating them, or that he's not being looking down on them. She's the chief executive of the home. Oh, that's what I am. Oh, okay. So it's a role of honor, and she's in charge. She's entrusted with 3 or 4 souls. Basically, she has to disciple the kids. So she's got a huge role. Don't think we're downplaying women. No, they've got a great role to play. The house and the kids.
Right.
I'm not insulting you. I'm bigging you up. Now get in the house and take care of those kids.
Yeah, exactly. You said it best. Yeah.
I'm here as a working journalist, and I'm a mom of 3.
Good for you.
Is that an issue
No.
for you?
No, it's not automatically an issue.
So, like, in your view of a Christian nation, a Christian America, would this be acceptable that I'm here as a working mom in Idaho?
Sure. Wouldn't
Okay.
be.
Okay.
Sure. This is the thing. There's a difference between what's a sin and a crime. Okay, so in every society, there's certain things that are just, you don't let people do it. All right, it's a crime. It's against the law. Then there are things that I would advise people not to do pastorally. It'd be a pastoral advice. It wouldn't be a law. It wouldn't be a rule. So, for example, if you have,
he just showed the hypocrisy in his views, or at least his speech. I'm here as a working mom. He says, good for you. She said, would that be a problem if I was doing this in Idaho? No, this is fine. But then once again, in his explanation, there's a difference between a sin and a crime. So wait, you just said it was okay for her to do it.
Yeah.
But then you explained it as it wouldn't be a crime, it'd just be a sin.
I'm not sure what his framework is, or how he's trying to piece this together and draw the boundary markers. I don't know. Like it could be the way that he's breaking down the Mosaic Law. Or, who knows? To me, I think what's really shocking is how calm and collected this interviewer is about. Like, he's literally just spewing out the worst thing that you could say, like this old patriarchal view about women and who they should be. And I don't know, man. It's a bizarre interview to me, because I feel like in any other journalistic you know, like the old journalism, like it would, like they would have hit much harder on Bill Wilson on a lot of these points. And I'm not trying to blame her or anything. I'm not doing that at all. But I just think it's a bizarre place to be right now with all this.
Yeah. Shout out to Joshua Crease. Joshua Crease will be on this coming Monday, I believe it is, for Conversations with Christians. So I'm looking forward to talking with you, Josh. Josh says, go back and listen to what he said. Not necessarily.
Right.
So there's a way in which you could do it and not catch his ire. Then there's a way in which you could do it where he would give you his pastoral advice, like, yo, you shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah.
Have women who are domestic, talented, educated, and high-powered, and I'm related to a number of those, right? So my wife has written 8 or 9 books, and my daughters have written books. Both my daughters have written books. One daughter has edited an English curriculum, English lit curriculum, and they are a mother of 5 and a mother of 8, and you know they are full tilt domestic, and they are high energy, talented people. I would say go team go. That's wonderful. At the same time, I don't want to disparage women who want to spend their time in the home, just focusing. I don't want to backhand it or.
But why do women want to spend time in the home if it's not as a result of your teaching?
Right.
No one said anything about disparaging them, but you're throwing up this straw man as if that's what she's talking about. She didn't say anything about disparaging women who want to spend time in the home. She asked about women who work outside of the home.
Right. I mean,
I want to honor.
Go ahead.
It's almost like I don't know. It's is it how much of that is anticipating the audience in terms of their thinking? But that's not what I was thinking. I don't know how many out there would be, but at the same time, he's trying to cast it in this kind of positive, rosy light as possible as he can. So like we're not belittling them. We're not treating them like they're a servant or whatever. Blah blah blah. But fundamentally, it is about that. Fundamentally, it is about treating them like, they're lower. They're beneath you. They're not. They're subject to your own decision making and your own authority.
Yeah.
So.
And you're talking about women. So so you work full time as a church leader. You've written 40 books. You're probably very well taken care of, so that your wife, she doesn't have to work another job and do the things she's doing around the house to take care of the kids. And she can write 8 books on her leisure time, because look at the salary, look at the lifestyle you provided. Probably your children as well have probably lived very well. So I don't know that you can equate people that you've been able to provide for financially with what the average woman is doing and saying, oh, well, if you can afford to do it, I've got no problem with it. Well, there are people who that's their dream, whether they can afford to do it or not, they're going to do it because that's what they feel like they're here to do.
Right.
And you wouldn't smile as favorably on them because they don't have the circumstances that your wife and your children had.
Gross. Really gross.
I want to honor that.
I want to honor
that. But you're
that.
comfortable with a working mom leaving the home and
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
So I'm a woman sitting across from you. Do you view me as an equal?
Oh, equal what? Equal person? Absolutely.
As an equal person with equal.
The fact that he said equal what? Like he had to interrogate that question. He had to... Gosh, that is so...
That's like if I asked, are you racist? And your response was, you mean today?
Today?
Like, you don't need to clarify certain questions. The answer is yes or no.
No. Oh my gosh. So let's see how let's see how he tries to define it.
Equal person. So equal person, equality of citizenship. I would say, well, if you're a citizen, then there would be equality. But yes, God has created in the first chapter of Genesis, male and female created he them.
So I'm going to, so you guys, I'm going to start doing a series deconstructing Genesis like I do in my book. I'm going to do a video series on it, because the fact that you got grown people, I was one of them, so I'm not like saying anything that I would not have been guilty of, walking around on planet Earth basing their worldview off of what Genesis says about things. And you're going to take that as your blueprint for how people should live. That's insulting.
Yeah.
There's so much wrong with Genesis from a literal standpoint, not to mention from a literary standpoint. That's factoring into your answer is insulting to me. Genesis says da 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 da, so we are going to da da. No, do better.
Equal what? Equal person? Absolutely.
As an equal person with equal rights.
Equal person. So equal person, equal equality of citizenship. I would say, well, if you're a citizen, then there would be equality. But yes, God has created in the first chapter of Genesis, male and female created he them. In the image of God, he created them. So man and woman complement one another and together represent the image of God. So, and that's, and
But you don't believe husband and wife are equals.
well, I don't think they have equal roles.
Now, I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah. Go ahead.
When I heard his answer to this, I was not as mad at like, I understand what he's saying, and I think I'm gonna let him say it, but I wasn't as mad. But what were you about to say?
No, so that I was actually very mad at what he's saying, because
Okay,
number one,
so good.
yeah. So here's the thing: he's equivocating in a way, right? And which is problematic. But number two, what is the point in saying that you are both made in the image of God or whatever? Or if he's trying to define that there is some kind of equality, sort of, but the outcome itself is not equal. The total sum does not equal equality. It's not what I'm trying to say is that it's this kind of he wants to eat his cake, what's the expression? The have his cake and
eat his cake and have it still.
Yeah, have it still. Or and the thing is, like, he's this is a problem that we find often in Christian dogma, right? Because they always will say, well, it's true in a sense, but it's not true in another sense, right? And when you really try to tease that out technically, often when from Christian apologists or whatever, that it never equals like a function, like as a functioning framework, essentially. So what he's essentially saying is that, okay, yeah, to make this palatable, I'm going to say, sure, they were both made in the image of God, but then look what he says. He says right after that, he says, oh, but they also complement each other, right?
Well, let's let him finish,
All right.
and then see if you can see why once again, like I said, I'm not trying to excuse him.
I know,
but from his understanding, his worldview, I'm like that makes sense. But let's see if I can get you to give him some leeway on this one here.
So, but it's like asking which is more equal, the violin or the bow? I'd say the violin or the bow. They're one instrument.
This is not what I liked about his answer. This analogy sucked, so he's going to get to a better one, I think.
The violin and bow is one instrument.
Right, but from what I've read about you and your interviews, you have said that you believe the wife should be submissive to the husband, and therefore that wouldn't be equal if the wife is submissive to the husband.
Well, it wouldn't be. For example, if you at CNN, you've got bosses all the way up, and you make a distinction, as you ought to, between your equality with them as a human being and the fact that they happen to have authority over you in this job. Okay, so a person can say, my boss is my equal as human beings are concerned. We should both have a right to a fair trial. We should both have the right to keep and bear arms. We should both have the right to free speech. But when I go into work, he has the right to tell me what to do, and I don't have the right to tell him what to do. So
that's a dynamic you see in marriage.
Yeah, within the confines of marriage.
You didn't like his analogy
No,
there?
no.
Neither do
think,
I. I just wanted to say.
yeah. This is the fundamental problem with so many Christian methodologies, right? They do not draw the right boundary markers. They don't draw, like, if you're going to equate a job, we're talking about work. Like I work at a corporate company, right? Yeah, sure. Yeah, I have a director. There's a VP. There's stacks of VPs above them, and then I have more junior people below me, and we have different responsibilities. That's the structure of how things work, and we have a stated capitalistic goal to achieve, right? All together, as and that's how the thing works.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think that is a framework for how an intimate family functions, right? Like, we're talking about the people, your own family, your people close to you.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's a complete conflation, right? And then he had his own congregants also use the same analogy, right? It's like, oh, it's no different than, having different roles at a job. But it's like, the family is not a job. It's not a, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
It doesn't.
Well, here's my problem with it. It's not just that he's making this false equivalency there,
right?
But what makes your boss has nothing to do with their gender, has nothing to do with their body parts or their anatomy.
Exactly.
The fact that what makes one in marriage the head and the other was, I mean, forget Doug Wilson. Paul supposedly says this, right?
Mm-hmm.
For the man was made first, not the woman. And the woman was deceived, not the man. That's why he's the head. So, like, the reason why the male is the head and the woman has to submit to him has everything to do with the supposed order of their creation in Genesis, which we know is bunk, and their anatomy. And because of that, like, you would never go into your job and say, hey, I got a dick, I got to be a boss.
Yeah, right.
Like, you would never do that. But he feels comfortable doing that because of what his faith has taught him about the fact that he's got these body parts, and his gender, according to the story, was the first gender made. That's his reason for saying we're not equal in the house.
So in addition to that, and with everything that he just said, he left out the fact that he believes the women shouldn't vote. Right?
I think he's going to get to that.
Oh, does he get to that? Oh, he doesn't get to that.
Yeah, we got a few. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So they don't have the right to vote. They should not have certain rights. So what are you talking about? You're both citizens. I mean, what does that even mean? I mean, it's like,
damn. Yeah.
That's a total. Like, he's not defined it. He's not defined it. And I think you're right. It's just about the genitalia without saying it.
That's a great point. We're both citizens, but you want to strip me of one of the rights of a citizen.
Right.
So what are you really saying?
The husband is the head. The wife is submissive, his helpmeet. And when you enter into this, it's a believing Christian man and a believing Christian woman, both of whom want that arrangement.
Is the wife the property of the husband, essentially?
No.
Okay.
No. The wife is, as Paul says.
I don't believe that for a second, by the way.
Say more.
I don't believe that for a second at all. Like, that's him.
He believes that the wife is not the property of the husband.
I don't believe that for a second. I think anyone, Christian nationalists especially, but also people who really get the spirit of the Bible, but also not like what they're adopting is this old world view that people can be owned. That's fundamental to, the context.
Well, doesn't Paul even say?
Yeah.
I don't know what he's about to say. He just invoked Paul, so we'll see what he's going to say. But doesn't Paul even say that the husband's body doesn't belong to him, it belongs to the wife, and the wife's body doesn't belong to her, it belongs to her husband? So I think a better and maybe more biblical answer would have been, not only is she the property of her husband, but he's also the property of his wife. So, like, it makes it, I won't say it makes it better, it makes it equally bad, because now they're both owned by
one another. Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, like, he can rhetorically just reject it, but functionally speaking, that is actually what is going on. I don't. If the outcome is that way, then that is what it is.
Now, do you know if he's one of those? Because I know that there are others. He might be one who believes that there is no such thing as rape in marriage.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. Yeah.
All right.
In Christ, there's neither Jew nor Greek, slave or free, male or female. So in Christ, before God, worshiping God, there's absolute equality between men and women.
But your view is, in the household, the dynamic between a husband and wife is one of where the wife is submissive to the husband. And what does that look like in practice? Can the wife say no to the husband?
Under certain circumstances, she must say no to her husband. So,
Like what?
Hold on. This is interesting.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, hold on. I hope you don't mind me. My unique Monique says the scripture we just talked about, the husband's body doesn't belong to him, the wife's doesn't belong to her. She says that's the exact scripture that was used to compel intimacy from me.
Yeah.
Yep. My gosh, yo. I'm so, yeah, I hear you. I hear you. So now she's actually this is an interesting conversation that she asked him this question about. Let's dive
Can the
back in
wife
here. Let me
say
see.
no to the husband?
under certain circumstances, she must say no to her husband.
What do you think he's going to do? You watch this? You watch this whole thing, right?
I did once, yes. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know what he's about to say here. I'm trying to imagine what he's going to say. Under certain circumstances, she must say no to her husband. She's not, he's probably not talking about sex.
Probably not. No, he's
All right,
not.
let's see.
Yeah.
Okay. Because that would have answered my question about whether or not there could be rape in a marriage. But let's see what he says.
We'll see what he says.
So, as I'm fond of telling our people, no human authority on earth is absolute. The civil authority is not absolute. It's a true authority, but it's not absolute. There are times when you disobey the magistrate. The authority of the church, pastors and elders, is true human authority, but it's not absolute. There are times when you should leave a church. The authority of a husband is a true authority. There are times when a wife should tell him respectfully to pound sand.
As you well know, there have been claims
Oh, I know.
that you
Yes.
have.
So hold on.
This is why I didn't remember what he said, because there's nothing of substance. Well, we'll see what he says again, but I don't remember anything.
Well, part of what's rocking me right now is the terminology he just used. For some reason, that's triggering me, because it's one thing to talk about the wife being submissive to the husband. It's another thing to talk about the husband having authority over his wife.
Yeah.
That just seems a little bit more stark, a little bit more like you talk about the government having a certain kind of authority, talk about the church leaders having a certain kind of authority. But to talk about the husband having a certain kind of authority over his wife, that just seems a little more like, ugh.
It's not the same kind of authority. He's using the same word, right? So he's equivocating, right? There's an equivocation happening. And he's probably not aware of it. Maybe he is, I don't know, maybe not. But he if you're going to compare, it's no different than how our current government has authority over us versus and then apply that same thing to how it applied, like how a husband has authority over his wife. I don't like any honest scholar or just intellectual can't see that that's the same definition, right? It's an equivocation.
But maybe for him it is, though.
No,
maybe
that's
for
what I'm
him
saying.
it's this. Okay.
So what I'm trying to say is that he's honing in, he's focusing on the husband and the wife, and he has an idea of how the government should be. It should be this kind of that the government essentially owns you, like you're it's no different. Like the kind
it's
of
top down, but like he says, the saving grace for him is it's not power without limit. It's not authority without limit.
No,
the government has a limit.
Yeah,
the church has a limit.
Right.
There's certain times when you should leave a church, and then he said there's times when a wife should tell the husband to pound sand, basically to bounce.
Right.
So it's not authority without limit, but it is authority.
Yeah.
And I don't even know, like, I'm trying to picture me back as a Christian. What as much as I liked the idea that I would be a Christian with a wife who had to submit to me, I still don't know that I would have been comfortable wielding authority over my wife.
Right.
Like saying I have authority over her.
He-
That just seems weird.
And once again, what you pointed out, this kind of, he's trying to kind of hedge a little bit, right? By saying that you don't have complete authority, but it's like, that's not a framework. That's not like, he's not giving us what that really means, what that entails, or how that takes place. He's just trying to give us something like that kind of softens the blow a bit. I mean, sure, you know, he wants this. He wants to have his cake and eat it too. He just like, if he wants to defy his government, he should be able to be free to do that. But at the same time, he wants to implement draconian policies and draconian laws. I mean, you know what I mean? You see how this doesn't make, it's not.
I would imagine for him, it's the wife has she ought to tell the husband no.
Right.
If he were to suggest something ungodly, like if he came home and said, hey, I want to have a menage a trois, I want to have a threesome.
Right. Exactly.
Then the wife should tell the husband no.
Right.
And I'm sorry to make it all about sex, but I'm trying to envision for him, what other circumstances would he think the wife should, maybe if the husband said, we're going to both vote Democratic in this next election.
Right.
Then she should tell him no. Maybe something like that.
Maybe something like that. He doesn't tell us exactly, but maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Minimized or sort of brushed under the rug, sexual abuse and violence.
Yes, there have been claims.
Oh, she's talking about the stuff that happened in his church that he basically covered up.
Authority,
Yeah.
but it's not absolute. There are times when you should leave a church. The authority of a husband is a true authority. There are times when a wife should tell him respectfully to pound sand.
As you well know, there have been claims
Oh, I know.
that you
Yes.
have minimized or sort of brushed under the rug sexual abuse and violence.
Yes, there have been claims of that nature, and I would say, look at them go. Let them say what they say. It's simply false. So we
Helped a pedophile.
Well, I conducted the marriage ceremony, but I did do that. So, but I didn't.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Yeah. Let's talk about those 100 guys on a submarine and 3 women when he goes off and marries a pedophile. Like what or you know,
So
member of his church.
wait. She says there were claims that sexual abuse. There's a pedophile, and he says, "I did the marriage."
Yeah, he performed the wedding. Yeah.
Wait, he performed the wedding, and then the guy went on to commit an act of pedophilia.
I think so. Yeah, I don't know the exact history, but yeah, but
Hold on, let's see what.
It's possible that he committed the pedophilia before, and then he wed the person. Yeah.
So a guy committed an act of pedophilia. Right. He knew about it and then conducted a wedding ceremony with them. Let's see if he clears this up, because this is crazy as hell.
Yeah.
Set them up. I didn't arrange for it. I didn't. All the things you hear online that I did in that situation.
So why would you marry off a pedophile?
There you go.
So the guy was a pedophile.
That guy was a pedophile.
And then he married the guy off. And he says, I didn't set up the wedding. I didn't. So, look.
What about those submarine? Wait, I'm saying, what about those submarine guys and the 3 women?
I've been saying this the entire interview. It's always the questions that she asks and then the weird answers that he gives. She says, hold on. So there are times when a wife should be able to tell her husband no, right? Okay, what are those? And then she asked about the abuse in the church, because like the claims of a cover-up and sexual abuse. He says, I've heard the claims. Then he starts saying, it's not what you've heard. It's not what the rumors have said. And then she mentions the pedophilia case. And then he says, the rumors are not true. I didn't introduce them. I didn't set up the wedding. I just officiated it. But wait, like you have not absolved yourself by saying,
exactly.
Hey, I didn't matchmake them.
Right.
I just performed the wedding.
Right.
Of the guy who's a pedophile, and
he's not going to wed a gay couple, right?
Right.
You know, it's like, what the hell? Like, what the fuck?
Wow. He really just said that.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it.
Because it was, well, I conducted the marriage ceremony, but I did do that. So, but I didn't set them up. I didn't arrange for it. I didn't, all the things you hear online that I did in that situation.
So why would you marry off a pedophile?
Because it was legal.
So curious.
He's a professing Christian. The woman he married understood his background, understood what she was getting into. I didn't arrange it. It was not an arranged marriage. It was not pressured. It was nothing like that. But basically, when someone, one of the things that people don't realize is what pastors actually have to deal with. Pastors are helping people.
One of the things you don't seem to realize is what women and children have to deal with. Like, don't woe is me and make yourself the victim.
Exactly.
To take the heat off of you when you put heat on. I don't know what happened with that case with the women. Yeah, I don't know what happened with that case. I don't know if it was happily ever after or if there was more nightmarish stuff that went on, but whatever he's about to go into here about how hard pastors have it, who gives a? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm losing it right now.
Yeah.
People.
On homosexuality, I mean, the Bible talked about stoning as punishment.
Right.
Would you endorse punishing someone who is gay in the America you want to be living in?
This brings up another old controversy. King Asa in Israel and King Jehoshaphat.
Once again, answer the fucking question.
Mm-hmm.
The Bible talks about stoning people who commit acts of homosexual intimacy. Would you do that in the America that you're trying to build, this Christian nation? Rather than just yes or no, why are you launching into this? Like, what the? And this is the when I was a Christian, I remember having to sit around and listen to Christians pontificate, and I was a pontificator myself, as opposed to just coming out and saying the thing that I'm going to try to build a nice flowery bed for me to go ahead and say it anyway.
Right.
I'm going to say it anyway, but I want to make sure that I lay out the red carpet so that you receive it in the way I want you to receive it.
Right.
I don't know what his answer is going to be, but all I know is he didn't answer the question. He launched into whatever the hell he's doing here.
Let's hear it.
Both in modern parlance, they both closed the bathhouses. They shut it down. And they exiled, they said, all done with that, and exiling homosexuals. And the scripture praises both men for doing that, which means that the requirement for the death penalty that does exist in Leviticus, that requirement was not a minimum penalty, but was a maximum penalty, because scripture praises the kings who didn't execute the homosexuals. They just shut the orgy down. They just shut the party down. So there is latitude in the application of biblical law. There is latitude in how it's applied from the scripture itself. So,
but bottom line, do you see any America and the America you want to be living in where homosexuals are punished?
I think that
because they've decided that they want to live freely as a gay person.
Yeah, I would say, yeah, but that
Punished.
We can stop this whole thing.
You could stop
right now.
Right here. Yeah.
I don't need to hear another word from him. What?
Yeah.
Come on, man.
What do you want? What do you want to hear? I mean,
make it not as bad. Say something to, like, people aren't that bad in 2025.
No, this is Doug Wilson. This is Doug Wilson. This is a lot of Christian nationalists. This is literally what they believe. So, and they have a straight line to the White House right now. Like, this is no joke. Like, this is no. Now, granted, it's a Herculean task for them to get what they want, right? And Doug Wilson said later on in the interview, we don't have to finish it, but he thinks it would take 250 years to get this, agenda accomplished. But it's crazy. It's absolutely insane, and I can't believe we're doing here. I mean, the death penalty for capital punishment, like, he's literally like trying to dance around that, or I don't know, trying to do it, but then it just
so
comes
hold
out and says
on.
it.
Let's talk about the dance. He brings up this story, and I actually don't even know what story he's talking about. I need to go. He compared what happened in I don't know if it's Kings or wherever he's talking about with Jehoshaphat. These kings, where they closed down. He says in modern parlance it would be a bathhouse. I don't know what story he's talking about that he's comparing to a bathhouse, but basically, they shut down the orgies, and he says they sent the people away. And then he says, so we don't have to necessarily kill the homosexuals. That would be a maximum penalty. The minimum penalty would be to exile them. And so in his biblical latitude, like, why are you in 2025 going back to a book that's at least 4,000 years old, 4,000 years old in terms of where you're getting your worldview from? And you're saying we don't have to kill them, but God did praise them, at least the Bible did praise them for exiling the homosexuals. But yes, there would be punishment for them in the America that I want. Like,
so the insanity of this is that he may not align exactly with Rushdoony's views that there ought to be capital punishments for every single thing listed in the Mosaic Law, right? But the fact that him and his, people, like, they're going to debate this. Like, this is a matter of debate for them. What should be the minimum requirements or the maximum penalty? And just that alone is just utter fucking insanity. That you're sitting there, you have these people with this kind of influence in the White House arguing with each other what the penalty should be for homosexuality, for, blasphemy, for incorrigible delinquency. I mean, we're talking about people who, like, skip school often, right? The Old Testament says they ought to be executed. I mean, and they're going to say, oh, no, that's not. Oh, no, that's too harsh. Yeah, no, we gotta do something a little less than that. That's a little too harsh. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, what are we talking about? What are we actually talking about?
Here's the thing, and this goes back to the question somebody asked in the chat earlier. I think it was Michael Apple who asked about whether or not, if Doug Wilson got too out of line, like, would he be able to exist in Trump's orbit? But think about the kind of person that Trump is. Think about the kind of person that Pete Hegseth is, right? A habitual drunk, a philanderer, and a woman abuser. Right. Would they meet punishment in Doug Wilson's America?
Yeah, exactly. Saved by grace, right? Right? Grace alone, faith alone. Yeah. That's their ticket, right? I don't know.
So there's only a few minutes left. We don't have to play any more of it, but I know that I saw a clip from this. There was a part coming up where she's going to ask him, I think, about disobedient children being stoned. And he's going to basically say, yeah, like that's what the law says. Like you said, the fact that he's got a direct line to the White House, that one of his church adherents has a chief position in the cabinet of the president. This should scare all of us. And this should motivate us to, if you see a senator, if you see a congressman, congresswoman who's trying to unseat a Republican in this midterm election, even if it's not in your state, contribute to their campaign. Big up these people, support them on social media, go out to an event, encourage people that their vote matters. Call your congressman, make sure that you vote. Help people deconvert at least from fundamentalism, if not from Christianity, because these are all the things it's going to take to pull us back from the brink of supporting this nonsense.
Gosh, like I feel sick to my stomach. So I can't believe we're here. And I think, one of the things that, if we're talking about taking the right to for women to vote, we're already seeing a version of that, right? Version one being they want the name on the ballot to match the name you were born with, right?
Yeah,
that's version one, right? It's not the ultimate version they want, but that's version one, and that wheel is turning. And I think we have to be really vigilant about making sure that we reverse that wheel. Like we can't afford to do it, because and
this is the extended version of the interview. Is it in this interview that he says that the husband would do the voting for the household?
Exactly. Yeah, he talks about household voting. Yeah, and that
I'm not going to play anymore because I don't want to.
We don't need to play anymore. But I'll summarize. But the thing is, what was the rosy way they put it? Well, if the wife disagrees with voting for X, that they'll have a conversation about it. Like, are you fucking kidding me? No, they're not. That is not going to happen. It's going to be
like, is the husband going to go into the voting booth with the wife to make sure that she doesn't defy his rule?
Exactly.
And that's illegal. You can't go in there with her.
Exactly.
So like, how do you even enforce that?
Yeah.
My unique says, I hate that CNN gave him a platform. So do I.
You got static, Brady. You got static.
Okay.
Yeah. But I'll read that. Yeah, Monique says, I hate that CNN gave him a platform for his BS, but I hope it serves as a warning and a wake-up call. Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Is the mic better now?
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, 100%. I hate it too, but I'm glad that they did, because I think people need to know. It's one thing for us to say, hey, y'all, something's coming down the pike. It's another thing for the nation to see it and say, damn, we can't afford to stay home in these midterm elections. Nobody can afford to stay home. That's the one thing I think we need to be impressing upon everyone. So, hey, thank you. I know this was a lot longer than normal exit strategies, and if you parts, that's what's up. But if you were here, appreciate you, Monique, and see a few more folks who were here at the beginning, still here at the end. Naja, thank you for being here. Truxton, thanks for sticking around. She's love and music. That's what's up. I want to give a shout out to all the Patreon supporters. Thank you all for supporting, for sticking with the channel. Definitely appreciate you. And if you are not a supporter, look under the video, look in the description. You can join the Patreon. But yeah, much love to all y'all. And Al, any last words on this nonsense? I gave sort of my here's what you can do, or here's what you should do. Let me ask you this, Al, are you worried at all about being an atheist in this landscape?
A little bit. Even here's the thing. Even being on a deconstructionist kind of platform, even the stuff that I'm saying on Facebook, and I'm personally carrying around my passport in my car in case I get racially profiled. So
wow.
So I think what we can say is, we need to be vigilant, and we need to be active. And I think we're going to have to really get involved if we're going to be able to turn the tide. So,
I mean, just go back to last year this time when this stuff was on the horizon.
Yeah.
But just think about how much easier we all breathed then versus how uptight we all must be because of the shit that's staring us in the face.
I can't believe it, man. Can't believe we're here. So
Yeah. Well, hopefully we'll do another pod in a year, and we will have walked off of this plank. Not
Yeah.
off the plank. We would have walked back from being on this plank.
Agreed. Yeah.
So, hey, much love to you, man. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah,
Thanks
man.
for your time.
Thanks for having me.
And, yeah,
was a good time.
indeed.
All right.
All right, y'all. Much love. We'll catch you. Remember, next Monday we're back with conversations with Christians. As a matter of fact, next Monday and Tuesday we got 2 episodes next week. Conversations with Christians. So we'll see you guys then. Thank you all. Love you. And I'll catch you next time. Peace.
Peace.